Welcome to Chapter 6 here in beautiful Brisbane. Today marks the final regional championships of the season, and we will be coming to you live from the heart of the city here on South Bank. And the stakes couldn't be higher. The best athletes from across the Asia Pacific have arrived in Brisbane with one goal in mind: to secure the last remaining regional qualification spots for the Hyrox World Championships. The road to Stockholm runs through Brisbane, and it starts right now.
It is a race time in London.
You can feel the nerves. We can feel it walking past the athletes through the venue here.
Here we go. This is the man's lead start at the second regional of the season.
Such diverse and different characters out there on the course, and that is what makes the sport here.
The first man in history to stay under 53 minutes, none other than
from Washington, D.C. to London, and now closing out the debut of the regional format right here in Brisbane. We have been on one hell of a ride, and we have still got one instalment to come. I am delighted to be joined by Greg Williams from The Rocks Life and Till Schenk to preview what's going to be an unbelievable night of racing. Gentlemen, let's first dive into this regionals format. Greg, what is it all about?
Yeah, so this is the third regional race of the season. For this race in particular, you need a passport from the Apac region to be able to compete, and that means that we're seeing a lot of new athletes competing at this level. There's one spot up for grabs for the World Championships, and there's one opportunity to become the Apac champion. Which
is truly exciting. So what do you think we've learned from the regionals over the course of the year?
One thing is for sure, the regionals are unpredictable. We've seen crazy racing, we've seen breakthrough performances, we've seen athletes really excel in front of the home crowds, and that's exactly what we're expecting here in Brisbane as well.
We've got a lot to look forward to, but how exactly did we get here? Let's take a little reminder. So whilst some eyes are on Stockholm in June, I'm pretty sure for the group in this studio, our eyes are on a particularly exciting cruise happening in November, gents. What gets you excited about a fitness camp on water?
You're on water, you with like-minded people, you know, it's bringing the fun to Hyrox on a different level. You've got the sunshine, you've got the cocktails afterwards, and it's in the beautiful Mediterranean around beautiful islands. What's not to love?
What is not to love? And we hear that Cole Learn is going to be there sharing all of his experience and knowledge, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a great setup. Bringing the community together for something like this. People love the Hyrox community, how supportive, how encouraging it is, and bringing that together for something like this is really exciting.
So for the rest of April, it is 30% off, and if you are a registered affiliate, you might even get a sneaky 35. So go check that out online, and we'll see you on the high seas. Do you know who else we're going to see? We're going to see the fourth member of our team. She's on the ground down in Brisbane. It's Jane Urbacher. Hey, Jane.
Hey guys, I'm here on the floor. The energy is electric. I am so close to all of the action, I can almost touch the athletes. I will be bringing you all of the insights across the entire race so that you can keep up to date with exactly what's happening on the floor. It's warm outside, it is hot in here, we cannot wait for this elite racing.
Jane with all of the energy. Now, let's take a look at this start list. We have got 2 pre-qualified athletes in Gabrielle Nakora Baker and Jess Pettrow. That's a lot of proven pedigree already on the start line. Now, they're joined by 2 more with experience at this level in Fakaris and Sheridan. Both, though, hunting the qualification, and that's the important thing here. Anna Bramley enters as the current 40 to 44-year-old age group world champion, and this will be her first opportunity to test herself against the elite field. And then Japan's Aki Yoshida stands as the lone representative from the Asian continent. Now, one name that you will not see on that list, gentlemen, is Joanna Wettrick. She's opted for a slightly different approach, knowing, Till, that Warsaw is just around the corner.
Oh, absolutely. She won 3 majors already. It would be number 4. It's next weekend. You want to have that Grand Slam. You want to win them, all 4 of them. It's never been done before. She performed in front of the home crowds in Melbourne already. First time the family was there. She's got nothing to prove in Australia. All eyes on Warsaw for Joanna.
All eyes on Warsaw for Joanna, but all eyes on Brisbane for her doubles partner, Jess Pettrow. Jane caught up with her yesterday.
So, Jess, you've already qualified for Stockholm, so you're here on home soil. What is it driving you this weekend?
Racing on home soil just adds a whole new layer of meaning and emotion to this race. I think, you know, I'm so fortunate and lucky to have my team here live in person to support me in this race, and knowing that it's not just my race, I'm doing it for my team and those that have been around me from the very beginning, who've believed in me from day one more than sometimes I've believed in myself. So it's just nice to be out there to showcase my fitness and do it for those around me. I also think racing on home soil, like knowing that I'm running around laps and people are cheering for me and hearing my name. I have a lot of my own athletes out there that will be supporting me and family, so that just adds a whole new layer of meaning, and I'm just very excited to get out there and show what I've got in front of the ones that I love the most.
I feel, Till, like we have really seen a new Jess Pettrow this season. It's safe to say it's been a real standout opportunity this year for her.
Oh, absolutely. Like, she's one of those fascinating athletes who it feels like they've been around forever, right? But she's only been in the sport just under 3 years. Chicago 2023 was the first race, and she is getting better and better with every race, and then racing in front of the home crowds, being qualified. She can risk, you know, going sub 1 hour and maybe showing Gabrielle that she's the faster athlete, because coming into the race, Gabrielle Nakora Baker has the faster qualification.
I mean, Gabrielle Nakora Baker, you can't overlook her for an opportunity to take the top spot on the podium this weekend.
No, absolutely. She has the fastest qualifying time for this race. She didn't perform as well as she would have wanted to at the Melbourne Major in her hometown. Finished 9th there. Came back not long after that and got her qualification spot by finishing 5th in Phoenix in exactly an hour. So she'll be desperate to get that sub-60 time as well. But she can afford to experiment a little bit today, push hard from early on and really try and get that win, get that title. But also, yeah, just put in an impressive performance.
If we place these 2 athletes side by side in a head-to-head, what are the separators?
It comes down to certain stations. So Gabrielle comes from a bodybuilding background, actually, so she's very strong, in particular on the sled push. Like, she works a lot on her single leg strength, and on the sled push she's put in some very, very impressive times, so a 2:17 average so far on the sled push there. So she does have the advantage over Jess on the sled push, also on the farmer's carry. But then you can't count this race out between the two of them until the wall balls. There can be massive swings. We've seen it time and time again in the Elite 15 so far this season, but massive difference between the two of them on average on the wall ball. So this race isn't over until the very, very end.
What I think is really exciting about this is, yes, those two could fight for first, but as could anyone fighting for qualification as well. There's a really good bunch of athletes at the top of this start list, and Calypso Sheridan is a name that just rolls off the tongue. She could do some damage.
She's an amazing athlete, not just in the world of Hyrox. I mean, what does she not do and what is she not good at? Long distance triathlon, she picks the most extreme races out there. She's training for the Olympics in LA in pentathlon right now. She's still getting better and better in Hyrox racing. She came into the season with a 1:06 in Hamburg, and she now posted a 1:01 in Taipei, qualifying for the regionals here. She's just getting faster, and it's exactly like you say. She might just have a shot at first.
As could Molly Fakaris.
Yeah, Molly Fakaris, we've seen her perform some incredible times in the doubles in particular. She's got the mixed doubles world record along with Colin, which they set in Melbourne relatively recently. In the singles, she's not quite performed to that level, but she does have a 1:01 in the PB. We last saw her do her solos back in Singapore in 2025, and I think she's pushed on since then. She is pregnant. She's expecting in September, so how that affects her performance tonight remains to be seen, but she's certainly in contention for sure.
Well, congratulations firstly to Molly, but also now we get to turn our attention to the race that is about to unfold. It's time to meet our athletes.
All the energy we have got. All right, let's get this show on the road, Brisbane. Up first, out of Australia, Baranhall! Next up, Bree Garaffa! Also, Team Australia! Our only Asian athlete tonight out of Japan, Aki Yoshida! Brisbane, what have you got? Make some noise for Lara Saunders! Team Australia. Next up, through the arch, representing the Aussies, Colin Reid. Followed closely from Australia, Alex Payne. First of the Kiwis from New Zealand, Katie Brock. Oh, the crowd loves Katie. Next up for the Kiwis, put your hands together for Anna Bramley. Back to the Aussies. Next up, Connie Stevenson. Next up from Australia, Zoe Schilling. Next up, out of Australia, Ivy Ozymandias. Representing Australia, Molly Callis. Next up for the Aussies, Calypso Sheridan. Car wheel entrance, 10 out of 10. Number 2 ranked Stockholm qualified, Australia's Jess Pettrow. And to close out, your number 1 ranked Women's Elite 15 athlete, Stockholm qualified, Gabrielle Nicora Baker.
A warm welcome, everybody joining us just now for our regional from Brisbane, Australia, our second last stop before the World Championship in Stockholm. My name is Till Schenk, and with me in the studio today, Lauren Smith and, of course, Greg Williams from the Rocks Life. Great to have you all here and taking a look at the start list as we're moments away from the start. You've all seen the walk-on. We got 2 qualified athletes in Gabrielle Nicora Baker and Jess Pettrow. Calypso Sheridan trying to take that 1 slot that is up for grabs here to the World Championship at the race. But Modificar is Evie Ozimek, and a lot of new faces racing here today.
I think that's exactly it, Till. And what's so exciting about the regional competition is that the depth of the field is really impressive, and it exposes us to so many athletes that are coming through, athletes that are winning their age groups. And much like Anna Bramley, who holds the 40 to the 44 world record at the moment. But ultimately, it gives opportunity for people to try out things on the biggest stage that Hyrox has to offer.
To try out things, and as we've seen in the other regional races, maybe take a shot at a breakthrough performance, you know, get inspiration to dive deeper into the sport, try to make it into the Elite 15 as a regular athlete. One thing we've seen, and we've spoken about this in the pre-show, at the regionals is they're unpredictable, Greg. We've seen incredible performances. We've seen close races for the qualification spots. We don't know what's coming up. All we know is this is going to be an exciting race.
Yeah, we've seen some fantastic races in London, Washington, D.C. Like you say, super unpredictable. Some very, very impressive performances. And it's really not over until it's over, because what we've seen at the Warbles, that last station, there can be huge swings in time there. So, yeah, very, very unpredictable, really high-level racing we're seeing throughout the sport at the moment.
Just seen Zoe Schilling there, one of the newcomers with a big smile on her face. Good spirits in the start tunnel. Final athletes coming up. Calypso Sheridan just on the left-hand side into the start tunnel. And in a moment, the lights are going to turn red one by one. Once they're all illuminated, it's a randomized start, 0.5 to 3 seconds after the lights turn red. They go off, and then the race goes off for the 15 women's race number 1 here at our regional from Brisbane. You can see the lights up top over the heads of the athletes, and in a moment they're going to start turning red from the outside, going inwards.
The adrenaline in this tunnel is absolutely insane, and for most of this field, it's going to be the first time they've ever really experienced a start tunnel like this.
It's got to be an absolutely incredible feeling in there right now. The women kicking off this racing weekend in Australia. 15 of the best athletes in the Apac region ready for the final regional of the season. And here we go. The red lights are turning on. We're all on. And the race is off here at the regional in Brisbane. The Elite 15 women are out onto the track.
So what's quite interesting, just to start off with, is we haven't got that rocket moment out the gate. I think we're expecting to see Gabrielle Nicora Baker and Jess Pettrow kind of hold this pace fairly conservatively for the first couple of laps. And that's honestly because we don't have a Joanna Wettrick or a Lauren Weeks to pull the pace out the gate.
Yeah, very different. Joanna Wettrick, she is in Europe already. She, we spoke to her earlier. A lot of foam on her end here, missing out in Brisbane, but the race is They're less than a week apart, actually, because we're racing Thursday and Friday in Warsaw, just too close together.
Now, one thing immediately noticeable is the fact that both Gabrielle Nakora-Baker and Jess Pettrow are not racing in the burgundy uniforms that do signify the fact that they've qualified. So to make it clear, Gabrielle on the left and Jess on the right, they have qualified for this race. For them, it's very much a battle for the top spot as opposed to a battle for qualification.
Yeah, I was looking at the same, but you can see it in the light now. Gabrielle wasn't visible in the start tunnel, but she is in the burgundy. But Jess very clearly opting for the black kit here. But yeah, burgundy kit usually for the athletes qualified for the World Championship already. And it's been an interesting lead up for Gabrielle, for Jess. They know each other inside out. Gabrielle came into this race with a slightly faster qualification time, but she had this fantastic race. 1 hour on the dot, Greg, in Phoenix. I mean, everything screams, let's go under 1 hour here.
Yeah, and like Lauren just touched on, they have both qualified. They are chasing the win, but they can afford to experiment as well. And like this is for presumably their last chance to properly experiment in a high-level race until the World Championship. So, do they want to push on early on in the race and see how it affects them? Like that's always the question in Hyrox. Where do you push? Where do you hold back? So they can afford to push on, and if she is chasing that sub 60, she's going to have to push early and risk blowing up her race.
It's hard to believe that Gabrielle has actually only learned to run 2 years ago. When you consider where she's come from, that bodybuilding background, you know, for all intents and purposes, bodybuilders don't get on treadmills very often.
It is a really interesting one because we're seeing so many athletes come from endurance sport and they have to build the strength, and it seems to be the easier transition than coming from a strength sport and having to build that running pedigree. But she's done incredibly well. And then that's something we shouldn't forget here is she's still learning to run. And she's scratched at that 1 hour mark already in Phoenix. And looking at the picture that we got in the front there, it is time for our podium predictions.
Till, what is that photo of you?
I have absolutely no idea. I was literally looking at it, I was like, where did that come from? I don't care. This is not about my photo. It's about the top three, and I'm going to go with Jess Pettrow. Yes, she has the slightly slower qualification time, but she switched up training. She put a proper running block in there, and I think it's going to make the difference here today. And then we got Calypso Sheridan. She's on such a high. She had this incredible breakthrough race qualifying for the regionals here. She's training for the pentathlon. She's top fit and motivated. She's going to be second. And then Gabrielle, I think, is going to be third here because I don't know if she's willing to push 1,000% here because she is one of the athletes who is going to go over to Warsaw straight out Sunday, flying to Europe. All right, into the ski erg. Jess Pettrow in first, then Gabrielle Nakora-Baker. And, well, everybody really, really close together if you look at it. Zoe Schilling just moving past Calypso Sheridan there, putting herself into third on the road, on the ski ergs.
No, this opening pace is really going to suit Jess Pettrow. She's not had to really blow up early. It's been very conservative, and now she can attack where she's really, really strong, and that's the stations. We were speaking just then about Gabby not having much of a running background. Jess actually comes from the track, and that does mean that the running is very comfortable for her, but where she has this beautiful balance, like the perfect balance compared to other competitors, is adding in the CrossFit experience that she had prior to finding Hyrox. So put her on the erg, put her on the lunges, and she really comes into her own, and especially at the wall balls.
Especially at the wall balls, and that's an interesting one, Greg. We had that head-to-head in the pre-show between Gabrielle and Jess, and correct me if I think it's a little unusual. I always feel like the lunges are already a predictor for the wall balls. If you're strong at the lunges, you're strong at the wall balls. But interestingly enough, Jess is, compared to Gabrielle, the weaker one at the lunges and stronger at the wall balls. We'll dive into that a little later, but we throw it down to the floor where we got the fourth member of our team.
The energy down here at the ski erg is absolutely electric, and I want to draw attention to what we can see here with both Jess and Gabrielle. So both of them are getting really tall with their hips, which is where that power is coming from. So as we look down the line of all those female athletes, we can see some of the other athletes are generating force at the bottom of the ski. They actually want to generate force at the top, like we're seeing both Jess and Gabrielle doing here. So both these athletes looking super strong from the beginning. They're really using their hips there and looking really, really good.
Jane definitely, it's I wonder, a dreamland for her right now. It's like being in the candy shop, getting to analyze athletes at the ergs. That's her thing. And it is a beautiful erg technique that we're seeing here right now. And you see they're really close together. Jess Pettrow, Gabrielle Nikora Baker, just a little bit ahead. So she's going a slightly faster pace here right now at workout number 1. Zoe Schilling really strong going. Calypso Sheridan as well.
Yeah, Zoe Schilling, really, really impressive. But actually, she raced alongside some of these ladies, Jess Pettrow in particular, out in Taipei. She raced a 105.26, which doesn't exactly put her on par time-wise with those ladies, but she came 3rd overall, which in the scheme of things in this race could put her up into a really nice battle for that qualification spot.
Looking back at their average ski times over this past season and the past few races, Gabrielle Nikora Baker does seem to have the edge at the ski. She's got 6 seconds over Jess Pettrow, so averaging 4:12 on this station. Jess Pettrow 4:18 and Calypso Sheridan 4:19. So not a lot in it, but Gabrielle does seem to have the edge here.
But something you got to look at here is Calypso Sheridan. You know, you said it like a 4:14-ish there, somewhere in that range. She's still going a 2:01 here, so it looks like she worked on her ski as well. Very low cadence compared to the other women. She's in 4th spot there at the ski erg in the frame.
If there is honestly any region that should have ski ergs dialed down, it is the region in which Jane Urbacher lives. I'm pretty sure she's probably coached half the females in this field.
Oh, absolutely. And look at that, Anna Bramley doing really well there as well in 6th as Gabrielle Nikora Baker is out of workout number 1. There goes Jess Pettrow. Calypso Sheridan right where she needs to be as well, fighting for not just a podium spot, but for the qualification. And then we go with Zoe Schilling, and here we go, Anna Bramley, fantastic ski erg, putting herself right up in contention after workout number 1. Of course, everything's still very close together here after the first workout, because Greg, something we all know by now is the sleds are going to be the first indicator on how this race is going to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be a massive separator in this race. You were touching on just before they went into the ski some of their relative strengths, especially between Gabrielle and Jess. And Gabrielle does have the edge on the sled push. She is very strong. Single leg strength is something that she works on a lot, and she's putting some very, very fast times on the sled push indeed. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in this next station. Just one point coming out of that ski as well. Molly Fakaris, who we thought before the race was certainly one of the ones in contention for the qualifying spot. She felt she was going to be the one that gave Calypso Sheridan the biggest race. Looked like she was well down the field coming out the ski. Now, obviously, we are very, very early on, but she came out well behind Calypso at that station.
I mean, that is not unusual, though. We see it regularly over in the EMEA region with Lucy Proctor. She will regularly come out of the ski 13th, 14th, sometimes even 15th, and pull back to a podium finish. So you cannot read anything from the ski erg.
So just up on the screen there, my predictions for this race is super hard to call, especially between the 3 of these over what order it could finish in. But yeah, I've gone with Gabrielle to take the win. I think what she did in Phoenix was very, very impressive, finishing exactly an hour. That's the fastest qualifying time for this race, and I think she could take the win. Then next, I'm going with Jess. Jess, very consistent performer. I think she's finished 6th, 8th, and 6th, 8th and 4th, I think, in the majors so far this season. So I think she can get 2nd, and then Calypso I'm going for in 3rd. She won in Taipei recently. She actually beat Jess on that day, and I think she can take 3rd spot and the qualifying spot for the World Champs.
An early gel there from Jess Pettrow.
Yeah, definitely. It's a matter of the fueling strategy on what they're going with here. It's hard to tell what kind of gel she's using right now, so how many grams of carbohydrates we got in there. Calypso Sheridan next to her having a really good time with the cameras as well, enjoying herself. Yeah, different fueling strategies, but one thing we can all agree on, even though there's different opinions out there, even though it's just an hour's race, fueling is very, very important.
I love the approach of Calypso Sheridan there, because this is probably one of the biggest races she's raced in. She was in Hamburg for the first major of the season, but we haven't seen her on the elite field since. And she just takes it with a smile on her face. She doesn't seem to be impacted by nerves. But when you think about her sporting background, she's come from collegiate swimming. So the aerobic base is solid. She's had the lights, the cameras, the occasion. She's very used to dealing with that. And then if you think that her main focus for the next couple of years is the LA Olympic Games, and the occasions don't really get much bigger than that. And I think it really plays into the style of how she races, how comfortable she is on course, as she finds herself between two Elite 15 athletes who have had all the experience of the world.
I always think it's kind of like what makes her as an athlete, right? You could say, why doesn't she focus on one thing? But I think the way we got to know her is that lifestyle that comes with it, and the way she is as a person. She needs that happiness. She needs to have that diversity in what she's training for and everything. And it really is paying off in the early stages here. And Greg, correct me, but I think she's got a really strong sled pull, actually.
Yes, she does actually. She has the strongest average sled pull time in the field with 3:22. So it is a technical station. You sometimes think that people that don't spend a lot of time in Hyrox maybe can suffer on some of those more technical stations, but that certainly doesn't seem to apply to her. So yeah, 3:22 average compared to like Gabrielle's 3:38, Jess Pettrow's 3:40. So she does have quite an advantage over them on that station. You're right.
And in they go into the workout. Let's see how that sled pull is going to unfold. Gabrielle Nicour-Baker, Jess Pettrow, Calypso Sheridan opened just a little bit of a gap there, and Bramley passing Zoe Schilling on the run, coming in fourth. And here we go into the sled push.
14 seconds separating the top 7. That's not a huge amount of time at all. This field's staying remarkably close together. But Gabrielle Nicour-Baker there with an unbroken length, really setting the standard for the rest of the field, because they have to go with her at that stage.
That was very quickly into that push, just putting herself into the front. But then look at Calypso. Yellow shoes going really strong in that second lane here as well. Jess Pettrow now catching up, but it's Anna Bramley now taking the virtual lead in lane number 4. Going really strong at that sled push right now.
Yeah, Bramley, the current women's pro age group world champion in the 40 to 44. She actually took the overall win in her most recent pro race in Auckland, but that was a 1:07.16. But that course was a tough old course. Ask anyone who was out there that day. But winning her age group in the women's pro in all 3 occasions that she has raced in this division, definitely don't overlook her.
And looking at Anna Bramley, this is exactly what we talked about with the regionals and what sets the regionals apart. It's athletes really shining and seizing the opportunity. Looking on paper, I think Anna Bramley should not be that good at the sled push, but she is seizing the moment right now, Greg.
She's seizing the moment, and maybe she's just having to take a risk. She knows that if she wants to push for that qualifying spot, for example, she knows she has to do it somewhere. I think she probably knows that Calypso has the edge on the running overall, and if she's going to make a move, it's going to be on a station, and maybe she's just taking a risk early on and pushing this more than she thinks might be sensible in a normal age group race. But if you want big prizes, you've got to take big risks.
All right, and here we go. Calypso Sheridan, it looks like Anna Bramley and Gabrielle Nicour-Baker, they are done with the sled push. So lane 1, 2, and 4 out for Jess Petrow's losing just a little bit of ground there, just finishing in the right-hand corner as well, and off she goes.
This is going to be a real separator of the field, and it's no surprise, to be honest. I feel like you can hang on in that opening lap on the ski erg, but this is where the difference between those who train this regularly and are very kind of invested in the sport versus those who do this perhaps on the side and a little bit more fun, that's where the gap's starting to show. And you can see it almost in the times of the starting lineup. You've got a 3-minute gap from the top 4 through to the bottom 11. And that's goes to show the depth of the field in Australia, and how you do have a couple of athletes who are really at the sharp end, who are competing around the world, and then you've kind of got the rest of them. And for these guys out on the floor now, it's the most unbelievably exciting way to experience a race alongside the legends of the Elite 15, but also give yourself that experience, because in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you could be there as well, competing all year round on the major circuit.
I think that's really one of the very important things that you're saying here right now. It's also about inspiring athletes to get into it, to see this as a professional sport in the Apac region, and be inspired by athletes like Gabrielle, like Jess, like Calypso, of course, Joanna Vittrek, who isn't racing here. But as we're seeing that replay of Gabrielle Nakora Baker, it is Calypso Sheridan taking the lead in the race here right now. She put herself in front of Gabrielle on that run by a couple of meters. Gabrielle Nakora Baker, here she is. You see that plum-colored racing kit. Means she's qualified for the World Championship already, and there she is in the picture. They're opening the gap on Anna Bramley now, who was only 2 seconds down coming out of sled push, and they're definitely giving Jess Pettrow a run for her money right now.
Certainly is, but I don't want to overlook Connie Stevenson there with her quickest time on the sled push. I mean, she recently took the overall win in Brisbane, and that was with a 1:07.02, and she's won her age group a number of times in the Women's Pro, but that was a really good start for our Aussie lady there.
Really good start there, but you said it with a 1:07, and that's the thing exactly with this is eventually going to separate by a couple of minutes. And of course, with the action on the run, we throw it back down onto the floor to Jane.
What is so interesting is down here on the floor, how many of these athletes have such good cheer squads. So each of them have so many people calling their name, which is so great to see. And another really interesting thing is it's very cool in here. Brisbane is known for being hot and humid, but inside the venue, it's actually very cool. And so we're noticing most of the athletes aren't really sweating that much. They're staying pretty calm, pretty collected, and they're definitely not suffering from any of the expectations of Brisbane heat.
Yeah, the atmosphere absolutely fantastic, and the support of family and so on, so important. We've seen this in Melbourne before, and now here in Brisbane, and the entire city, there you go, Calypso's still smiling, having a good time with the camera. The entire atmosphere, the feel in Brisbane is all about Hyrox these days, as we're going around the track with our leaders, Calypso Sheridan and Gabrielle Nakora Baker, in very different setups right now that we're seeing, right? So Gabrielle coming from a bodybuilding, a strength background, Calypso from a swimming and then endurance background, and something she is definitely used to is this running on tired legs. She's done long-distance triathlons, but not the easy ones. She's done races like the Australian Alpine Ascent Extreme Triathlon, where it's basically all about getting as much climbing in on the bike and then the run as possible. So definitely used to performing on tired legs as they're coming into this sled pull workout number 3, probably one of the favorite workouts for Calypso Sheridan.
Yeah, it is. She's got the fastest qualifying, fastest average time on the sled pull in this race. Looking at her recent race in Taipei, now admittedly the strength of the field in Taipei isn't as strong as it is here tonight, but she was the fastest on every single station other than the burpee broad jumps in that race. So she's not just a runner, she's very, very good on all the stations throughout.
And you're seeing the 5:45, that's the average pull time for Hyrox athletes. The time's expected here right now, just outside the 3-minute mark for our women. So a good solid 2.5 minutes faster to be in the elite here on this workout compared to the average Hyrox athlete times.
That is honestly a fantastic comparison, because that's easily where I live. You know, the 5:45 period of time. And I think it goes to show, when you watch these athletes racing together, oh, a yellow card there for Bramley, I think it was. When you've got these athletes racing together, it's so hard to see the comparison between them and how fast they actually are compared to your average person. There you go, 2 minutes faster on the sleds.
2 minutes faster on the sled. And you mentioned the yellow card, and it's maybe important to point out to everybody who's joining us who's not that familiar with Hyrox. So at this workout here, very important, we've got 4 lanes to be pulled, but you're not allowed to step on the white lane in the front or at the back. You do it twice, you get a 15-second penalty. And of course, we want to hear from Jane what's happening down there on the floor.
Super interesting to see how cautious down here on the floor.
all 4 of our leaders actually are. In every single rep, they are making sure they don't get that yellow card. So they're taking their time to step up to the line. They're taking their time to look down to make sure they don't step on the line. In contrast to that, we saw Connie Stevenson, who's a rookie at this elite, immediately on her first 2 pulls with that yellow card. So that's something really interesting to watch here, is the technicality of our more experienced racers versus the rest of the field, who are out there and they're giving it their all, but they're not necessarily as technical.
Thank you, Jane. I love her definition of taking their time at the sled pull. If you want to call it that, going 3 minutes or just over the sled pull. And you see here Calypso Sheridan again, she is setting herself up real nicely to have a solo run going out of the workout. Of course, they're not done with it yet, but she's got about 5 seconds now on Gabrielle Nicora Baker.
You can see between Bramley and Pettrow there 2 totally different styles of rope maintenance. You had Bramley, who was dropping the rope and going to re-grab at the line, versus Pettrow, who's sliding down the rope, and it provides more control over where the end of the rope is going and allows you to not get stuck or wrapped up in it. Just 2 different ways. Obviously, if you're out there and you're looking to take on a Hyrox race yourself, you find the way that works for you. But rope control is a huge part of making valuable seconds.
Oh, absolutely. The interesting thing to me is, as we look at Calypso Sheridan, maybe we can get a replay of her sled pull. She drops the rope every single time, which in theory we believe to be the slightly slower movement, but it is not for her. It suits her really well. She is out of the workout. We just saw her leave the station. Here she goes, running through the rock zone, and there goes Gabrielle Nicora Baker, roughly 5-ish seconds behind you. Anna Bramley is done as well, and Jess Pettrow with a fantastic pull, minimizing the damage here after losing a bit of ground at the sled push.
Yeah, Jess is very much known for her sled pulls. She's often represented in the relay on that particular station. But she's managed to close the gap a little bit on Anna Bramley. But once again with Jess Pettrow, what we do know is her bread and butter is the back half of the race. The next couple of stations are an element of keeping in touch, and then she can turn the screw from the lunges.
Calypso Sheridan leading the race solo. There's still a long way to go here, Greg, but looking at her development over the last couple of races and this fantastic last race she had going into Brisbane here, it's not really a surprise to see her there right now.
No, it's not. It's not. What she did in Taipei recently with a very, very impressive time there, where she got the where she got the win. So she has been developing. We saw her in the opening major of the season in Hamburg, where she didn't perform as well as she might have wanted to, but I think she's given Hyrox a little bit more focus since then, and it really is shown in her performances. So it's not a huge surprise to see her leading like this, but yeah, she's really dominating at the moment.
And it's so hard to take someone's first ever Elite 15 experience and say that is the standard that they set for themselves going forward, because it is so overwhelming to line up amongst that field for the very first time. And I think the fact that we're seeing her so laid back and relaxed shows that she's learned from that and feels far more at home on this stage.
3 workouts in, 5 to go. Here we go with the replay. Calypso Sheridan very much aware of how far she's going back, always making sure. And despite dropping the rope every single time, she has great control of the rope in the back, making sure it's not in the way.
Oh my gosh, Katie Brock, look at your nails, girl. You prepared for this.
Well, she took one out of the page there from Jane, who's down on the floor for commentary. Beautiful nails there today as well.
So we're seeing on the screen there's a head-to-head between Gabrielle and Calypso, and where the differences are stacking up over the race. So they're very close overall at the moment. Calypso had the edge there on that sled pull, an impressive performance, doing a 3:18. Gabrielle only losing 6 seconds, but then Calypso also making up just a second on the sled push. But we talked a few times already about how strong Gabrielle is there. So for Calypso to put in that performance and still look strong coming up the run into the next station, she'd be really, really encouraged by that.
Oh, absolutely. And she knows it. Like, looking at her sled push, it used to be a fair bit slower than Gabrielle's, and she lost only a second there now.
I mean, we're now seeing Calypso Sheridan overtake Molly Fakaris, and much like you said, Greg, earlier on, Molly could very much be up at the front as a qualification prospect. It's very much, especially when you're pregnant, how you maybe feel that morning. And if she's due in September, that's really not that long away. So I think she's out there having a bit of fun and proving what the women's body can do on the international stage, rather than having a particularly competitive day.
Absolutely, and it's fantastic to see, and I loved her attitude going into the race here, because it's exactly like you say, right? Not that I know from experience, but I hear it very much depends on how you wake up, how the body feels. So it wasn't like, it's not a show race for her. On a good day, she feels like she is still highly competitive and there for the podium. Interesting to see now, in that new scenario with Calypso leading the race and Gabrielle coming from behind, it looks a little bit like Calypso didn't push as hard as she had to with Gabrielle on her shoulder, because Gabrielle really brought that gap down from 7 to 3 seconds.
I mean, you see it all the time in racing, don't you? If the person behind you isn't pushing, you're both working with each other almost to conserve energy. If you do have a gap to the rest of the field, it's not isolated in the sport of Hyrox. You see it in cycling, you see it in running, and probably to a certain extent, Gabrielle Nakora-Baker is drafting slightly off Sheridan to conserve a little bit of energy before going into a burpee broad jump that's undoubtedly going to spike heart rate.
And I'm really, really keen on seeing those times for the burpees now, because Jane is going to be very excited to see this down on the floor, is the technique that we're seeing from the first two, from Calypso and Gabrielle. They're both doing what we've seen from Kohler now as well, is that slide up with the knee and then the step, which currently is believed to be a little more energy preserving during the burpees and still quite fast.
Yeah, you can see Anna Bramley there opting for that step. But I would say taking it fairly conservatively, but what it's giving is Jess Pettrow something to cling on to. She sees the athlete in front, she can see that she's closing distance, and the mental kind of edge that gives you, knowing you're closing down on the person ahead, that's huge for Pettrow, and probably slightly underestimated by Bramley in this circumstance.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's probably exactly what we saw on the run there with Calypso and Gabrielle as well, is you've got this slight advantage coming from behind. You can pull yourself up. It's so hard to push that 100, 110% by yourself in the front. But right now it looks a little bit in that first half of the burpees like Calypso might be able to open the gap back up on Gabrielle Nakora-Baker right now. It looks to be more than 3 seconds now.
Yeah, but your third and fourth, Bramley and Pettrow, just starting this reverse set of burpee broad jumps are closing in on Sheridan and Nakora-Baker. Now, that obviously has come off the back of that run where they took, the foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, but look at Jess Pettrow. Said it there. They are starting the next lane. Jess came in 15 seconds down on Anna Bramley, and she's now already basically closed that gap down to 0, maybe 1 second.
She's put in a huge training block in the build-up to this race, Jess Pettrow. This is very much a focus for her, unlike some of the others who have looked ahead to Warsaw. She's not going to be traveling across to Europe, so this for her is kind of her last real shootout prior to going to the World Championships. She's put a ton of emphasis on her running, so that's where we're expecting to see bigger gains. But again, I'm not necessarily expecting that to happen until the latter half of the race. I've said it about 5 times.
Well, we're headed into the latter half of the race very, very soon as they're coming out of those burpees. So we'll find out very soon. So this is an interesting one. If you look at the clock, we're looking at a 29:25 now, so close to a 29:30. Calypso is done with the burpees. She is out in 29:30, and looking at the elite athletes, interestingly enough, compared to the average athlete like us, the second half often is a tiny bit faster than the first half. So we're seeing incredibly fast racing here right now from our leaders.
I have been so impressed with Anna Bramley, and it's not that she hasn't got experience, because racing in the pro and winning an age category at the World Championships really, is a big achievement. But she is probably one of the older athletes in the field. She's, got kids at home. There is a whole life as well happening. Her entire focus isn't blinkered on the sport of Hyrox, and she's kicking it with the big guns and making it look very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable in the lead, Calypso Sheridan. And let's throw it down to Jane.
Something super interesting about the way Jess Pettrow is racing is she does not follow the time on a watch. She races. And just then, her entire strategy was to stay right there with Anna. She is where she wants to be in this race. She's not looking at the time. She's racing, and she's racing to win. And we can see that by the way she's pacing herself right here.
Which plays very much into what you just said, the second half from Jess Pettrow. She definitely did bring that gap. It was 15 seconds going into the burpees. It is down to 7 now.
One thing that's interesting, we're just talking about Anna Bramley there, and she comes from a running background, and she used to run 800 and 1500 metres. And I was talking with Holly Archer recently, who we saw in the doubles in London. She's been a European champion at 1500 metres. I know Morgan Schultz used to run 1500 metres. And we think about Hyrox as like, you know, this hour-long race. Does it more suit someone that can run like a half marathon sort of time? But it's interesting the number of 1500, 800 metre runners with that sort of background coming into this sport.
Calypso Sheridan definitely pumping a little bit more here, working hard in the lead of the race, but she's still got that smile on her face popping up every couple of seconds, having a good time with the cameras. They're leading the regional halfway through, coming out off the burpees.
This run off the back of the burpees, for those who are slightly less dominant in their running, is always one of the hardest because your heart rate is in the red at this stage. You've kind of had quite a nice build up until this point, and now it's all about hanging on until the rower. And in the rower, if you can get your breathing under control, you set yourself up for a really solid second half. But this run, I think, is really underestimated from those just watching on.
Very much agreed. For me, it's this one and then the one after the lunges.
Yes.
That I would deem the most challenging ones.
You double the pace.
Yes.
It's the last one.
And just seeing Gabrielle Nikora-Baker there, it looks like she might be losing a little more time. We see a 3:23 burpee from Jess Pettrow. So that's how she clawed that back time on Anna Bramley, who had fantastic burpees, only 8 seconds slower.
Yeah, she's won 2 out of the 4 stations now, so that's some real marker made by Jess Pettrow. And it's obviously where she's clawing back the time, probably keeping in touch on the runs without seeing the official stats. Perhaps Greg can give us a little look into that. But on the stations, that's where she's making moves.
Making moves in the race right now, Calypso Sheridan. She looks just as smooth in a run as she did in that first lap. Compared to Gabrielle Nikora-Baker, we've just seen it looks like she's not as peppy in the step as she was at the beginning of the race. Maybe struggling exactly with that transition after the burpees. We've seen this over and over again, how these amazing athletes bounce back. Even if they have one bad run lap or something, they're suddenly right back there.
I mean, looking at those burpee broad jump results, you can see that Ivy Ozimek has raised 3 positions just over the burpee broad jumps. She is one of the youngest competitors in the field. She's only 21. She is one sister of 4 siblings who are all pretty competitive. But I think it's safe to say she has got, if she wants to double down, a long and successful future in this sport.
Oh, absolutely. She is the reigning under-24 mixed doubles world record holder, together with her brother, I believe.
Boyfriend, I think.
Boyfriend.
Boyfriend.
Boyfriend it is. A man in her life.
Her dad?
We are into workout number 5, the ride. Calypso Sheridan setting herself up nicely right now. She's about 75-ish, 78 meters ahead of Gabrielle Nikora-Baker, who took a second there to get her feet into the straps. So very important, you got to have the feet in place before you're allowed to grab the handle and then go.
I mean, that is one thing we're learning from regionals with a load of competitors who are perhaps slightly newer to the expectations on standards in the Elite 15. We're seeing penalties come for really little, arguably stupid mistakes. And I'm not expecting that to happen to the top 4 in this field because they have that experience. But certainly as you float down from, you know, 6th down to 15th, those little mistakes can be huge. And we saw that in the EMEAs. It was heartbreaking results.
Yeah, EMEAs was a lot of penalties that we've seen there. If you haven't watched it, rewatched it, Greg, looking at the row, to me it always feels like it's one of those workouts where you might be able to preserve energy, but it's really hard to make up time. So looking at our women there, do you see anybody who might be able to gain anything here?
No, there's very little that separates the field in right. It is hard to gain time. We have seen some fast times from Connie Stevenson in particular on the row compared to some of the athletes. So Connie could make up some time here, but it does depend as well on just how much you've pushed up until this point and how fatigued you are, because that can make a big difference.
And somebody who's always very excited about the row is, of course, Jane from the Eric Army.
I know no one will be surprised that I am absolutely losing it being this close to the action, but the biggest thing I'm noticing here is handle path for these women. So if we have a really good look at them when they're rowing, Jess Pettrow has a perfectly straight handle path, and what that does is it means all her energy is going into achieving those meters. If we see that handle drop, which we're seeing both Anna and Calypso do, it means the athlete is working so much harder for those meters, and being able to see it this close and not go up and correct them is killing me right now, but it's super interesting to watch.
Yeah, I hope she does not jump onto the row interfering with the athletes there, but very passionate about the row. And here's another really interesting thing. Look at Calypso Sheridan. Again, she's making up meter by meter right now, and it looks a lot to me, looking at her different stations, the time she brought into the race, that she managed to improve pretty much at every single station to get just a little better.
What's really interesting about Sheridan's rowing, that dip, that's a very traditional CrossFit style of rowing. It is how I row. I'm so sorry, Jane. You can come and give me a few lessons next year, perhaps. But if that is what you're used to, actually ultimately changing the style of how you row is only going to, in the short term, seek to raise your heart rate. She's sticking to what she knows. Calypso has a background in CrossFit. I don't think she lasted an overly long time there, but that is what the hangover is. And she's making it work for her as she continues to be out front and lead this field.
Yeah, definitely going with a faster average right now than Gabrielle Nicora Baker. She had about a 75-ish meter head start going into the row. She's going to leave with more than 100 meters ahead as she's going into the final roughly 3 or 4 pulls here. And speaking of high heart rates and interesting row technique and cadence, I know Tim Venish is watching us right now, so we're going to see him again in Warsaw. So make sure to watch closely there as Calypso Sheridan is leaving station number 5. She is leaving the row, and she has increased her lead over the chasers, over Gabrielle Nicora Baker, Anna Bramley, and Jess Pettrow. And look at what's happening, what's coming from behind. Lara Saunders, but let's hear from Jane down on the floor again.
When Calypso got onto the rower, one of the things I noticed is that she doesn't just start to row. She has a process where she straps her feet in one at a time. So feet go in, and then she actually grabs the handle, so not a penalty. And on about the 3rd or 4th stroke, she straps each foot in, which is really interesting. And what I love seeing about that is she has refined the details of her racing, not just her capacity and not just her skill, but all these little things. And I think this is a new Calypso Sheridan we're seeing out here.
I think it's literally something she learned through her triathlon background, where you jump on the bike, you get a couple of pedal strokes that the bike is moving, and then eventually once you're rolling, you get into the shoes. It looks like she adapted that into Hyrox now as well.
Just touching there on penalties and making sure your feet are in before you pull the handles. It has been a very, very clean race so far. So there's no one that's actually picked up any time penalties yet. We just saw one yellow card. That was on the burpee broad jumps for Lara Saunders for staggered feet, but just one yellow card so far. And yeah, no penalties, which is great to see.
Dare I say, our EMEA athletes can learn something from the Apac region.
Oh, way to annoy an entire region again, Till. No, what I think we have definitely now seen from the field in general is the top 4 has now got a really substantial gap. And there is a chasing pack coming through, but it's safe to say the podium is likely going to come from 1 through 4.
Yeah, for me the interesting one is to watch very closely how that gap from Anna Bramley and Jess Pettrow is going to change or not compared to Gabrielle Nikora-Baker, because if there is a weakness in the second half of Gabrielle's race, I would think it's the wall balls.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially what we've seen so far this season. Now, I think she has gone unbroken in the past on the wall balls, but we've seen some massive variances in her time so far this season. So, yeah, it can be at the wall balls where there is potentially a weakness, but it can also be a strength for her.
It's going to be a surprise. A fantastic race for her, definitely, so far. And yeah, I fully agree. It's going to be, the top three are going to come out of the four that we're seeing there. And just a little reminder to everybody, that also means right now the duel for the qualification spot is between Anna Bramley and Calypso Sheridan. And Calypso Sheridan setting herself up real nicely. We figured she might be the #1 contender for the qualification spot, but she looks a lot right now like her attitude is, hey, why just qualify if I can also take the win at the same time?
Sheridan there the fastest on the rower, but actually we're seeing a really impressive push from Lara Saunders right now. She's only had, I think, two races in the history of her entire Hyrox experience, and she's showing some really mature racing. She didn't go out like a rocket. Every single time she's got to a station, she's managed to boost herself up by a couple of places every single time. She is the leader of the chasing pack. There's about a 1:20 gap at the moment, but that could certainly come down as we head into the farmers carry and the lunges.
A race still wide open, even though Calypso Sheridan shaking it out here a little bit, making sure she is relaxed.
We talked when they went into the row how it's not easy to make up a huge amount of time on the row station, but she's gone 13 seconds quicker than almost like all of the field. I think 9 seconds quicker than Brie Guerreta, but 13 seconds is a lot to make up against the athletes you're racing against.
Yeah, but if you look at it, for example, I remember relay races, for example, our Americans with Vivian Tafuto in there as well, with Lauren Griffith in there, going a 1:59 average on the row in an incredibly fast relay race. Calypso Sheridan was still sitting at a 1:59 to a 2-minute pace when we looked at it 800 meters into the solo race here, as she's now into the farmer's carry. Interesting to see how she relaxed her hands, warmed them up a little bit going into the station. I don't really think I've seen that this way before.
I have never seen that before, and I think it just, my guess is, and this is a complete speculative guess, is her experience of hanging from rings in OCR. She knows how to kind of preempt and build up her grip strength, and hanging from ring and using your body weight as the weight versus hanging weights off your hands, like, it's not dissimilar. So there's two 24-kilo kettlebells. If anything, is probably slightly lighter. So I think that just leans a bit of her cross-sport experience, which is definitely a real part of her arsenal as a racer.
Yeah, and she averages 1:32 on the farmers carry in the past few races. She did 1:24 on the farmers in Perth. So you're right. She is very, very quick on this station.
We're actually having a little bit of a debate about this, and I think it's really apparent in the female field that having a background as a swimmer is possibly one of the best bases for Hyrox that you could possibly have. And when you think about the current swimmers in our field, Calypso Sheridan, Vivian Tafuto, Lauren Weeks, these are some of the biggest names in the sport at the moment and the most consistent. And I think that comes, A, because of the amazing aerobic base they have, but also the training hours that they need to put in as a swimmer does translate to the training hours that you need to put in as a top-level Hyrox athlete.
Let's not forget on the men's side, Alex Ronkovic, for example, just proven exactly what you said there. And yeah, swimmers, everybody who knows a swimmer or has been a swimmer knows that is a crazy training mentality. But Calypso Sheridan, she is out off that farmer's carry, and she looked strong going through. Correct me, it looked like an unbroken round there for her. She did not put the kettlebells down. Gabrielle Nikora-Baker making sure, coming out in second, that she knows where to go. We got 2 workouts left, and it is looking fantastic right now for Calypso Sheridan. Greg, you just took a quick look at the wall balls there, and taking Hamburg out of the equation, it just wasn't her strongest races in general. Not the strongest farmers carry, lunges, or wobble. She was just tired in the second half. But looking at the other races, looking at Taipei, looking at Perth, we're expecting a time well under 4 minutes at the wall balls.
Yeah, she did a 3:26 on the wall balls in Perth, a 3:43 in Taipei. So yeah, we are expecting a sub-4 time. I don't think that's an unbroken time necessarily. I think there's probably one break in there at least for those times. But yeah, a sub-4, she does look strong in that station. Like you said, in Hamburg, if we took that out, I think she was suffering in Hamburg. She did 5 minutes 12 there. But yeah, ever since then, she's looked very strong.
And can we please talk about Anna Bramley, who is still holding on to 3rd place ahead of Jess Pettrow, a already qualified athlete for the World Championship. This is incredible. She is still 12 seconds ahead of her.
We just touched on like swimming being a background. Anna Bramley comes from equestrian. She competed to a very high level nationally and internationally. So yeah, don't see many equestrian-based athletes in Hyrox so far.
Equestrian, but did pursue a little bit of running as well in the 800 and 1500. So she's definitely got a really good base. I can tell you from experience, equestrian and grip strength, there's a definite translation there. I mean, but look, Anna's going to have her 2 boys cheering her on from the sidelines, and she's just going to be relishing every single minute of this race. What was even better is we obviously reach out to athletes and we ask, oh, you know, what's going on in your life? What can you tell us about yourself? And Anna really wanted the world to know that when she was young, she was very much into lizards and used to go to a gecko club once a month.
I have the feeling somebody promised her a gecko.
A gecko.
If she races a PB here, because she came into the race here with a 1:06.17. She is right now racing at a pace that would set her up nicely for a time around the 1 hour mark, 1:01. That would be a huge PB to set here. She has a tendency, I believe, to lose about a minute maybe on the other athletes at the wall balls.
Yeah, obviously it depends on the race. She did race in Melbourne in the age group racing, and she did a 4:11 there on the wall balls there. In Auckland, she was a touch slower. I think it was a 4:52 in Auckland. So yeah, maybe not quite a minute, maybe 30 seconds against some of the top athletes. But yeah, that does tend to lose a little time there.
But still, coming into this race with a 1:06.17, that would leave her with 20 minutes for the last 2 workouts now to be significantly faster than coming into the race here. A fantastic race day for Anna Bramley, and a fantastic race day for your race leader, for Calypso Sheridan. And Lauren, just look at her. The stride has not changed.
She just looks so composed, so in control. And what is interesting is she is checking her timing, and she is using...
So triathlete of her.
So triathlete of her. You can speak to that world better than I can. But it is interesting, kind of the different approaches. And actually, the fact that she feels that she has time to stop to water, like, that doesn't happen very often in an Elite 15 race.
Just, you know, a quick, nice little cool drink before some sandbag lunges, and here we go. Calypso Sheridan first into the second last workout, into the sandbag lunges here at the regionals in Brisbane. She has been leading this race since the early stages, and she just keeps extending this lead over Gabrielle Nikora-Baker.
We didn't see quite enough of Sheridan there to get the full picture, but it did look like she had a bit of a strategy when it came to her steps on those lunges. She did 2 passing straight through without a stop at the top, then 4 where she stops, then another 2, and hopefully we might see that progress a little bit more. But it's as much mental as it is physical, I think, having that little stop at the top, making sure that your hips are fully extended, that you are not getting in the way of any standards, and you're making it very clear to your judge. But it also just finds a pace, something that you can continue on with. And mentally it can be very relaxing to be like, okay, 4, now I'm into my 2, now I'm into my 4.
Yeah, she looks incredibly dialed in. Probably also one of those advantages, looking at, you know, you mentioned it before, she's training for the Olympics in LA 2028 for pentathlon. So it's like a whole range of different sports that you need to combine and be great at. And so a very detail-driven athlete for sure, as we've seen with her stopwatch and all the details as well. 35 seconds her lead now on Gabrielle Nikora-Baker. And this is the stage now where I'm just going to ask you both, what do you do as Gabrielle Nikora-Baker? You know you're leaving tomorrow straight for Warsaw. You got the final major of the season come up. You got the ticket punched already. Do you really go all out now and try to grab that win here, or are you just going to be happy with second?
No, here's the thing. If I was Nakora Baker, which I am not, would be going for the win in Brisbane. That is because I think for a number of athletes who are traveling to Warsaw, it's very much a primer race for the world champs. You are in a stadium, which is going to be the same as the Strawberry Stadium out in Stockholm. You are going to be in a field, the deepest field that we have had in a major, and that field basically is going to be as deep as it's been. If you add on to that the fact that it's the last run out ahead of Worlds prior to a big training block, all of that combined makes me think that Warsaw is a testing ground as opposed to an opportunity to go out and win outright. The only person who really needs to do that, or really wants to do that, is Joanna.
Well, she's in Warsaw already, getting ready for that final major of the season. And again, ready for a shot at taking victory here at the regional in Brisbane for the Apac region is Calypso Sheridan. She did tease this a little bit with this race in Taipei with a fantastic effort there. And look at the time, we're 51:20 into the race, and she is almost gone through the sandbag lunges. She is in that final lane there, I believe. Here we go. The sandbag is coming down. She's about 1 lane ahead of Gabrielle Nakora Baker, who we saw just making the turn before Calypso Sheridan dropped the back. And she is out onto the final run. One more workout, one more run between Calypso Sheridan and victory here in Brisbane.
Nakora Baker, though, looking very comfortable under that 20-kilo sandbag. She's going to see out her final length before she's out onto her run.
And of course, we want to look at the duel behind, the duel between Anna Bramley and Jess Pettrow. 17 seconds apart. So Anna Bramley again opening the gap just a little bit before the sandbag lunges. Here goes Gabrielle Nakora Baker. She is out and on the way. But in general, if we look at the qualification times, what I love about what we're seeing here from athletes coming from behind, like Connie Stevenson, like Laura Saunders, for example, is looking at the times they posted coming into the regional here. They're all going above and beyond right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we have to remember that to qualify for this race, it's the average of their best. Sometimes they have got, you know, a good PB, and then one other time that's dragging down their average a little bit, but they are putting in some super impressive performances on this biggest stage.
What a race it's been so far. We've gone through the sandbag lunges with our leaders, and look at that. Jess Pettrow has made her move. Jess Pettrow has made her move. She has gone past Anna Bramley. She's checking with the judges there, drops the back, and off she goes. Was this the moment, Lauren, you were talking about the second half for Jess Pettrow, now putting herself into third overall, going towards the wall balls?
I mean, she's turning the screw, isn't she? She's taken on Bramley. 148 out the back of the lunges is quite a bit to make up, especially when we know that some of these girls can go unbroken on this station. But if there's an opportunity to put yourself straight into the hole and be able to hold through the wall balls, Jess has got that capacity.
And fantastic sandbag lunges there from Katie Brock as well, moving herself up into 5th overall. And it's about 20-ish seconds behind Anna Bramley. So if she's got a good wall ball here, a good day at the wall balls, she might be able to move herself into that 4th spot as well. And I mean, it's really close to Jess Pettrow now as well.
Yeah.
Calypso Sheridan leading the race, the former collegiate swimmer, the former Trojan. Now racing the race of her career, of her Hyrox career. with a real shot at taking the overall win here at the regional in Brisbane. In the picture now, Gabrielle Baker with another fantastic race. We're 55 minutes into the race. We know Calypso Sheridan, and she looks like she preserved plenty of energy. She's still looking really strong there. She can easily go sub 4 minutes at the wall balls. The question is, when is she going to turn into the wall balls there? How soon can she start them? She's checking the watch again. Is she going to be able to go under 1 hour here in Brisbane today? It's going to be a close call, but it's not going to be impossible.
Certainly not impossible at all. She's definitely upped her pace. You can see that she's now turning into the final station. I think sub an hour could be on if she's got the unbroken warbles in a locker.
Oh, absolutely. Look at that. We're about 56 minutes in. She's coming in as your leader. Calypso Sheridan into the wall balls. She's going to go straight for it. She's gone sub 3:30 at the wall balls before. She's gone around 3:45 in the race that followed. It's going to be really close. We need a really good round of wall balls here from Calypso. It's a long way to go for her, but therefore a very short sprint to the finish line after the wall balls. And she is left with about 3 minutes and 30 seconds if she wants to go under 1 hour, and she knows exactly where she stands. She checked the watch again. She knows what's at stake here right now. Not just the win, not just the ticket to the World Championship, but a first time going under 1 hour for her in an elite race.
Which has been everybody's goal, right? Times are just coming down, and that EMEA Championship actually really meant that the field that got invited to Warsaw was predominantly made up of times that came from the EMEAs because the times were so low. So a few more sub 1 hours across all of the regionals would actually suggest that the sport of Hyrox times are coming down and it being slightly less limited to one course, which is really cool.
And I really think, like, looking at some of the athletes and how they developed after going under 1 hour for the first time, I think it makes you believe. Like, we've seen it on the EMEA circuit with Emily Dahlman, for example, not really believing she can go under 1 hour. Then she did it in Stockholm in December. Now she's under 59 already. So I think it just opens up a little bit of extra belief in your abilities.
It's what we always say about world records. If you can, like, tick over a really substantial marker in a world record, like the, Eliud Kipchoge, for example, that opens up possibility. And once we see possibility, then records continue to fall.
Calypso Sheridan, she needs to be careful. There are a couple of no reps already. She got 5 no reps, 40 wall balls in. That is valuable time. They're averaging roughly 1.8 to 1.9 seconds per rep there. So she lost about 10 seconds on her hunt to go sub 1 hour here already due to no reps. Looking at what the judge is looking at here right now, it might be for depth. I'm not 100% sure, but just collecting a few too many there. It is 7 now, 8 now. She's very clearly leading the race halfway through the wall ball. She's 20 reps ahead of Gabrielle Baker. She should definitely take the win here. And no matter if it's going to be under 1 hour or not, is an incredible performance from Calypso Sheridan. So we usually say, if you're within a minute, when you got about 25 reps left, you can go and finish that in that 1 minute. I think it's not going to be enough for a sub 1 hour here, but it's going to be a spectacular race and most likely spectacular win for Calypso Sheridan. Dropping the ball for the first time there. Quick breather.
Are we looking at Gabrielle Baker there and her pauses in the bottom of the squat? A, horribly inefficient. B, what it is doing is it is allowing to make sure that her depth is correct. So she is avoiding no reps while she's doing that. But that is a tough old position to be in under the weight of that 6 kilogram wall ball, and it's not doing anything for her ability to explode out the bottom.
And it's so interesting to see the different styles of wall balls, right? She's got this very, very wide stand to be able to bring, or like to get into the proper position, into the proper depth there. Calypso Sheridan She's fighting a little bit at the wall vaults here right now with 14 no reps, but she's 85 reps in. She's still 18 reps ahead of Gabrielle Nikora-Baker. She is going to take the win here, and look at what's happening behind. Jess Pettrow is putting the screws on Anna Bramley right now. She is flying at the wall balls. But we're going into the final 7 reps there for Calypso Sheridan. What an incredible race for her. 95 reps. She drops the ball the last time. She's going all Tim Vanish on us. And look at that. It's going to be victory for Calypso Sheridan here at the Apac Regionals in Brisbane. A smile on her face. And she is gone across the finish line.
Like she started.
Cartwheeling it. She finishes the race. She liked the way, yeah, she started here. Your winner, Calypso Sheridan, with an incredible time, just over 1 hour, and an athlete over the moon at the finish line. New Zealand takes victory here in Brisbane.
Almost. The other one. Australia takes victory in Brisbane. But New Zealand is going to be second, with Gabrielle Nikora-Baker crossing the line to give Calypso Sheridan a hug there. And now Jess Pettrow looks pretty comfortable in closing out the top 3. She's keeping Anna Bramley at bay.
Really impressive from Calypso there throughout the race. Now, was it 18 no reps that she got on the wall balls?
Yeah.
So that's something that she's going to have to go away and work on before Stockholm. But also encouraging for her that she can do, just over an hour, still get 18 no reps with that sort of time. So encouraging performance from her, but certainly something to work on before Stockholm.
And look at those wall balls from Jess Pettrow. She was only a few reps ahead of Anna Bramley coming into the wall balls and absolutely smashing it, coming in third. Which also, looking at it overall, Greg, this is going to be very fun calculations for our predictions and the points afterwards. I think neither of us... Oh, no, you got third right, correct?
No, I had Calypso in
Yeah,
third.
you had Calypso there. They mixed it up. We got the right 3 athletes on the podium, but they mixed it up nicely there with Calypso Sheridan taking the lead, or taking the win over Gabrielle Nikora-Baker and Jess Pettrow. Anna Bramley fighting now after an incredible race at the wall balls. We've seen this before. She's gone close to the 5-minute mark, losing a little bit of time there. But nevertheless, this is going to be a huge race for her. She's shown herself at the front of the race for so long in the top 3. And again, she comes into the race here with a 1:06.17 qualifier. And she is going to go just over 1:03, so about 3 minutes faster than her qualifier coming into the race here. And here we go, final rep for Anna Bramley. Off she goes. Applause from the race winner at the finish line. And a second place.
Unbelievable there from Anna Bramley. I think she's really announced herself as a competitor on the Elite 15 stage here in this Brisbane regional. Also, this is the first opportunity we have seen Aki Yoshida. She is the one woman in from the left on your screen. We've moved the camera, we're not. She's four in from the left of your screen. The lone participant from Japan, from the Asia region. And also 40 years old. 40 years old and competing in this field is an unbelievable achievement.
Absolutely. She's having a little bit of a tough time right now at the wall balls, with Molly Fakar is now gone by as well by a long shot.
Tough time at the wall balls, but to give you some context to how she trains, she comes from a really rural village, so much of her training is without kit. She does sled pushes by pushing against a wall.
Oh, drama for the positions there. Have you seen that? Connie Stevenson and Lara Saunders. Connie Stevenson thought she hit the last wall ball. She had actually gone past Lara Saunders and then had to turn around, pick the ball back up because she missed the last rep, but so did Lara Saunders. And then it was shoulder to shoulder. I'm not sure actually who crossed the line here in first, but this is also a little bit about the prestige, right? You're still there in the top 5, top 6 athletes.
top 5 in your region, like that is mind-blowing. You know, that is a huge achievement. To be honest, just being named in the top 15 in your region is a huge achievement.
It's absolutely incredible, and you do it like these women do with huge PBs that we're seeing on the day. And it just, you know, proves the point of like, it's such a special thing. Those regionals, how it motivates the athletes to go above and beyond, because we've seen a fantastic time there from Calypso Sheridan as well, improving by about 45 seconds. But we're talking minutes now for these athletes.
Yeah, it looks like Brie Garaffa and Molly Fakaris are now battling for the sub-10. 2 reps between them both. Garaffa, Tom Rogers' partner. Molly Fakaris, of course, we know from the Elite 15 circuit.
Oh, and she is making a move there in the end. Look at that, Molly Fakaris. She's gonna go from 11th into the wall balls to 8th overall. There she goes. All right, and we're getting excited. You can see it in the split screen there with Jane getting ready for an interview the way it looks with our race winner. As we look at the final athletes at the wall balls, of course, we want to hear from Calypso Sheridan, your regional winners here in Brisbane.
What an unreal race we have just witnessed. Calypso, not only did you qualify for Stockholm, but you won. Can you describe how you're feeling right now?
I would say amaze, amaze, amaze. If you've watched Project Hail Mary, great.
I know that you finished up work a week ago to throw yourself full-time into your athletic career. What has happened in the past 7 days to have you performing the way that you did tonight?
Yeah, I've been so lazy. Like, I've just been relaxing, recovering. And yeah, I quit my job a week and a half ago, and it's just incredible because I was so scared that I was making the wrong decision. And I'm so happy now.
It's safe to say you have not made the wrong decision. In fact, you have made the best decision of your life. What is the preparation between now and Stockholm going to look like for you?
Well, I'm also training for the 2028 Olympics in modern pentathlon. So I'm going to be going to a few World Cups for that training camp. And I'm going to be making an attempt at the DECA world record as well. So lots of things in the plan.
You are an unreal human. Go and celebrate with your family. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All smiles there from Calypso Sheridan, who has taken not just the win here in Brisbane in some style, but also the qualification spot to Stockholm. It doesn't get better than that, especially till when a week ago you quit your job to go all in on something that you weren't 100% sure was going to work out.
You know, and I'm just going to be honest here, I absolutely love it. We're at that stage in the sport right now where athletes are considering, are we going full-time? Do we trust in our ability or not? And we're seeing it over and over again. Pretty much every athlete who says, yes, I will, has success. Sean Noble, you know, not too long ago, quit his job, is all in. We've seen Hidde Versmo, who stopped coaching mostly, other than the Paralympic cycling team and a few individual athletes, and he set a world record at the EMEA Championship. It is worth going all in.
It really goes to show, Greg, that we are at the stage in our sport where if you're not all in, you probably are at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, the field is just so deep now. You just need to be able to train, you need to be able to recover, you need to be able to give this sport your total focus. And that, yeah, it is becoming almost a requirement. And to be able to do that allows you to compete.
Now let's delve into Calypso Sheridan and that race, because up front it was quite deep and there was competition, but she really set her stall out early and was able to hold out front by herself and have the confidence to do so.
I think the main thing that stood out for me was stations. It looked like she improved on every single station, and the stability on the run. I mean, it was, I haven't seen the times. I don't know if you had the time to look at it yet, but purely looking at her and her form, that was incredible how consistent that was. Yeah,
it was consistent throughout the race. There didn't seem to be a weakness. It wasn't like, oh, she's lost a lot of time on that station or she pushed too hard. Just really controlled, consistent, like a really experienced racer throughout the race. And there were no reps like we touched on the wall balls, but otherwise really, really impressive throughout.
Well, in second place from New Zealand with Jane, it's Gabrielle Nakora Baker.
This season, we have absolutely seen a new force emerge from New Zealand. Gabrielle, you were a powerhouse out there. How was the race for you tonight?
It honestly felt pretty rough. The sleds felt heavier than usual. Yeah, the push felt hard, the pull felt hard. Everything else felt, on par. I have an issue with racing in Australia. I feel like it just always hits me harder. I feel like I race better overseas, so maybe that's my new tactic going forwards. Tried Australian races, they just don't work for me.
I did notice a lot of the athletes struggling on the sled, and the word on the street today has been that they are sticky. And I noticed it with you tonight. You were breaking it up so much more.
Yeah. I felt like it was a little bit uneven. It would go kind of easy, hard, so, but I mean, we did it, so it is what it is.
You still look super strong. What's the plan now before Stockholm?
Just knuckle down, train, work on my recovery a bit more, My Garmin always tells me I'm dying, so I think I need to pay more attention to it.
And we know that you only took up running 2 years ago, which we absolutely love that story. I would also like to talk about your transformation since you did your first pro solo, which wasn't long ago as well.
Yeah, so first pro was in July last year. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what pace to go out on the skier because I'd only done doubles before, so I just ran it, and my goal was just don't die, enjoy it, and see if you want to do it again. And I got like a 1:03, and I was like, I think I can go faster if I train for this. So trained, worked with the amazing Bo Wills, and he's gotten me pretty fit.
You should be so proud of yourself. Go celebrate with your family. Bye.
I have no doubt Bo Wills is going to have a huge grin on his face after that. And Bo, get well soon, because we know you're holding up at home with a little bit of an injury. Let's take a little look at the final results. And just shy of that 1 hour mark, it is Calypso Sheridan, who becomes the first woman since Hamburg to not just win a race, but also qualify whilst doing so. Congratulations, Calypso Sheridan. But a whole host of impressive performances. And for the majority of this field, safe to say a PB as well, which has been, goes to show what racing on the elite stage can do for performance, and that extra 1% it gives. Anna Bramley in the top 5 as well. Well, that is all from us here in studio for the moment. We'll be back very shortly with the men's race.
It is a race time in London. You can feel the nerves. We could feel it walking past the athletes through the venue here. Here we go. This is the men's elite start at the second regional of the season. Such diverse and different characters out there on the course, and that is what makes the sport here. The first man in history to stay under 53 minutes, none other than
Welcome back to the Hyrox Apac Regional and to the studio where I am joined by Till Schenk and Greg Williams. And Till, oh my gosh, the women's race, spectacular. Calypso Sheridan booking her ticket to the World Championships. But interestingly there, Gabriella Nakora Baker saying that the sleds felt heavy.
Yeah, that's an interesting one because it seems to be very subjective. Looking at her times, she was maybe a couple of seconds slower than she was in her qualification, but then Calypso Sheridan beat by about 13 seconds or was faster than her qualification, and overall the times look good. So it's a very subjective feeling apparently that she had at the sleds.
So not something necessarily to worry about too much for our male competitors who are about to take to the floor. Greg, remind us, what are the regionals?
Yes, so this is a regional. We've seen regionals already in Washington and London so far this season. This is the third and final regional of the season. This is APAC. You need a passport from the APAC region to be able to compete. There's one qualifying spot up for grabs for the World Championships in Stockholm, and obviously one opportunity to become the APAC champion.
It is one final opportunity before next week in Warsaw, where we welcome back the whole host of the Elite 15 field. But how have we got to this point so far? Let's find out. So all eyes are on John Wynn as he looks to secure the final qualification spot. But James Kelly alongside him is going to definitely put up a little bit of a fight. John Wynn, his battle comes against a wave of 13 Elite 15 debutants lining up. Look, amongst them, there's UK-born, Malaysian-based former professional footballer Lee Tuck. It's going to be his 29th Hyrox race. There is a 3-time Taekwondo world champion in Kane Bajant, and Corey Dietrich and Matt Slee are also part of a select group that has gone under the 60-minute mark on debut. So keep an eye on them. Dexter Buchanan clocked an impressive 56.48 in Bangkok. So he's going to be another athlete that's going to keep this field wildly competitive. But going back to James Kelly, he's clearly going to be, as the only qualified athlete, the front runner to take the top of the podium.
100%. It's James Kelly, and I know somehow people talk about he's not performed properly lately, but he was second in Phoenix with a 53.39. I think the only thing that changed is everybody measures him on that near world record in Glasgow, with that spectacular fashion of racing, flying around every turn into every workout. And maybe the first half of his race isn't the strongest right now, but he's been so consistent in that second half. So all he really has to do is work a little bit on the first half, and he's done that going into Brisbane.
Greg, that Phoenix race, though, that was a really solid performance from the JK that we know is that good from last year.
Yeah, it was. And particularly at the back end of the race, like Till just touched on, we'd almost counted him out of booking his qualifying spot, you know, the burpees at the road, because he was so far behind some of the other guys. But he really dug in deep, and on the farmers carries, the sandbag lunges, the wall balls, the 3:19 there on the wall balls at the end, the 2:38 on the lunges. Really impressive performance towards the back half of the race, and with that confidence, he can push earlier on now.
Well, let's see how he's going to approach this one, because there's a little more at stake with Worlds looking ahead on the line.
Between now and Stockholm, my focus is to continue to develop my running speed. It's easy to say because I think everyone is probably trying to do the same thing. And to continue to develop my first half of the race. If I can develop my first half of the race, I'll be coming in very hot to Stockholm, because I have no doubt that my back end race will be as good as it has been in the last couple of races I've had.
So, gentlemen, Jonathan Wynn is likely on paper to be his main rival here. 3 times to the World Championships. He came 5th last year, but up until now, he's still not qualified, Till.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because he's brutally consistent. You just saw the times there is 30 seconds. He doesn't care about the race course, if it's fast, if it's slow. He's just posting consistent times, and we've seen it here. I think he's got that motivation. He just moved the family to Australia, which for him I think is an advantage. It distracted him a little bit. So I expect him, after what we've seen in the women's race, to maybe go sub 56 here and actually punch the ticket.
Well, let's see exactly what he thinks. He caught up with Jane earlier on today.
So, John, you love a last chance qualification. How are you feeling going into this race?
Yeah, I feel good. Obviously, the last few seasons, I always leave it to the last race. I like a bit of drama. I like to keep pushing myself right to that very last chance, and it looks like it's happened again, yeah. But I feel good. I feel good. I'm back in my home country, living here, which is awesome as well.
So you have just moved back to Australia. You're a Gold Coast man now.
Yeah.
And how has that move been on your body?
The body, it's been okay. The mind has been a little bit stressful. Literally, we got word and decided to come back here within 3 weeks. So it's been like 3-4 weeks ago we made the decision. We packed up everything, sold our stuff, come here, and now we're buying stuff. And now I've been setting up a house for the last few days. But my body feels good, to be honest, yeah.
So in those top 4 qualifiers, we also have Dexter Buchanan and Matt Slee. Greg, what can we expect from these 2 individuals?
Yes, they both won races recently. Dexter took the win in Bangkok in a really impressive time, and Matt Slee, who you've just touched on, took the win in Auckland, again an impressive time. They're both lining up in the doubles. You can see a head-to-head there with their qualifying times by station. Dexter much stronger on the stations. Matt comes from a professional triathlon background, so we know he's got the endurance, he's got the running ability, but Dexter does seem to have the edge on the stations, and particularly towards the end of the race, yeah, 3:44 average on the wall balls compared to Matt Slee's 4:24.
So, 1 qualifying spot. We have got 1 already qualified, and we have 13 debutants lining up in the men's field. It all comes down in Brisbane to this one moment. Let's head on down and meet our athletes.
All right, get ready for the fellas. Out in 8 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Brisbane, get your cameras ready. It's showtime for the men. Lane call up first. Out of New Zealand, Luke Penny. First of the Aussies, make some noise for Corey Dietrich. Also Team Australia, partner of Zoe Schilling, it is Billy Schilling. Oh, he's excited. Next to the Kiwis, put your hands together out of New Zealand, Abbas Nazari. check out the girls, Anthony DiPaolo. Through the arch and away we go. Team Australia, Bay Tuchek. Next to the stage, through the arch, from Australia, Sam Shepherd. From New Zealand, make some noise, Kane Bugent. The only one representing a country from Asia, Mr. Lee Tuck from Malaysia. Next up for the Aussies, Greg Lewis. Next to the stage, representing Australia, Luke Brotherton. Representing Australia, it's your time, Matt Slee. The big fella himself, Aussie, Dexter Buchanan. Oh, the crowd love Dexter. Number 2 ranked Australian. Make some noise for Jonathan Wynn. All right, Australia. Your Elite 15 Hyrox poster boy, wearing purple, already backed his place, Mr. James J.K. Kelly.
Welcome back to the second race of the day. Taking a straight look here at the start list. James Kelly, Jonathan Wynn, on paper the strongest athletes, but then Dexter Buchanan very close with his 56.48 there to challenge Johnny Wynn for a qualification spot, and then 13 debutants in this race. This is going to be a wide open race. In commentary once again, my name is Till Schenk. On my side, the lovely Lauren Smith and Greg Williams from the Rocks Live. How excited are we right now before this race?
I love this, Till, because this feels so open to a certain extent, right? We've got our recognizable names at the top in James Kelly and Jonathan Wynn, but underneath that, it could be arguably anyone. We're going to see some big things from 3 through 5, Dexter Buchanan, Matt Slee, and Luke Brotherton, but do not rule out anyone underneath that, because everyone has quite a lot of experience in the pro Hyrox stages, and they're all in the same boat. They're all on the same start line, all dealing with the same nerves, and it could shake out anyway.
And we've just seen it in the women's race with Anna Bramley, who challenged the top 3 all the way until after the sandbag lunges there. Anything is possible at the regionals. We've seen it in the US and in Washington. We've seen it at the EMEA Championships in London. And we've seen it here in the women's race in Brisbane already. And this is one of the best feelings in the world of Hyrox racing. It's that moment in the start tunnel. It's minutes or seconds before the start. It's all getting dark, and then everybody's just getting ready with the last moment of focus for the lights to turn on.
It's really interesting how different this start tunnel is compared to our women who we just saw race, in that there's a lot more movement, a lot more pacing. Clearly the apprehension and the nerves are slightly higher.
Oh, absolutely. There's always that, and it's not just our elite athletes. There is a huge difference between women and men racing Hyrox. It's very interesting to see. There was a lot of laughter and kind of banter between the athletes in the women's race, and it's all focus, all nerves here for the men as they're getting ready. That was last words there, the gentleman in the white shirt, Matt Locke, our elites director, with the last instructions here for the athletes. And you can see it's getting ready. They're getting ready into position here. And it's going to be the same procedure. In a moment, you'll see the camera turn around. We'll get a back shot. And above the heads of the athletes, you see those lights. They're going to start turning red from the outside all the way to the end. And once all lights are illuminated, it's a randomized start time, somewhere between 0.5 to 3 seconds after the lights turn all turn on. They go off, and that is the sign for the race is started.
Of course, this new lighting system brought in to counteract the false starts that we saw in the Melbourne race only a few months ago.
Yeah, and it's properly randomized, so there is nobody who can influence it. The system decides, and here we go. The red lights are going on. They're all on. And here we go for the men's Elite 15 here at the regional in Brisbane, the Apac Championship. The race is on.
I know it was only a small moment, but there is a big kind of left-hand swing onto the run track out of the gate, and you could see that caught a few of the athletes out trying to take that corner. It just sets you slightly off pace from the gate, but they've gone out hot.
Oh, really hot. Lee Tuck here in the lead, and I mean, he's used to that cornering from the soccer pitch, right? Former footballer, UK born, you said it before, he lives in Malaysia now, racing for Malaysia. He's used to that fast sprint, to the fast corner and everything, and he is showing himself here at the front of the race early into that first run.
I mean, you say former professional footballer, he very much was, but he also has a half marathon time of a 1:16 and a marathon time of a 2:49. So, I mean, we spoke about it with the swimmers, but the cardiovascular capacity of anyone who does sports that involve a lot of cardio action serve it really well on a Hyrox course.
Absolutely, and time to take a quick look here at the predictions. So James Kelly is going to be my #1 pick because he's getting better and better throughout the season, and hey, it's James Kelly. Come on, he's going to be first here today. Johnny Wynn is going to take advantage of that move to Australia. I think it's good for him that he was distracted with the move. He's going to be second, and Dexter Buchanan is going to be a very close third. He's going to challenge Johnny Wynn here the entire way. It could go either way, but I think he will end up in third just behind Johnny Wynn. How about you, Greg?
For me, a little unexciting, but I'm afraid I agree with you two.
This is a first for the season.
For once, yeah. But I think, yeah, I've gone with James Kelly for the win. He, like we touched on in the pre-show, he finished second in Phoenix, looked particularly strong at the end of the race. We know what he's capable of. He was so good in last season's majors, and I think he can take the win today after a disappointing performance as well, I should say, in Melbourne, where he didn't perform well as well as he wanted. So to do that in Brisbane, I think he'll be extra incentivised. Then John Wynn, booking his qualification spot, I think he can do that today. He likes to leave it late in the season to get that qualification spot, but he's done it in the last 3 World Championships. I think he can do it again. But then I think Dexter is going to give him a real good run for his money.
All right, just to raise the stakes, I'm going to switch out Dexter and Johnny.
Okay.
Just so we're a little bit different there. All right. Lee Tuck in the lead then. James Kelly, Matt Slee going with him on that first run. He'll be very easy spotted for everybody who doesn't know Matt Slee, with so many debutants in the race here. He's got that huge tattoo over his chest, so running in third there right now behind James Kelly.
I would love to know what is going through Lee Tuck's mind right now, mostly because, probably what's going through his mind is where am I going? Yeah. But he's raced so much. He has somewhere between 26 and 29 races like in his career of Hyrox so far, and he knows better than anyone that going out hot doesn't necessarily lead to longevity within a race. But it's going to pull the more experienced athletes with him, and that might shuffle a few things as we head into the ski erg and later the sleds.
Hey, plus it's good media attention
And
in
that.
front of the race there.
And that.
Here we go into station #1, this ski erg. Lee Tuck, James Kelly, Matt Slee coming in the top 3, and then Bay Tuchek in 4th into the ski erg.
Bay Tuchek, another one that we saw race recently in Taipei. He actually finished 3rd place overall and won his age group. That was in a 1:36. So there's obviously a bit of work to be done there, but as we saw with the women being pulled around by some more experienced competitors in that environment. He would have raced alongside James Kelly there, but with John Wynn alongside him as well and the pace being pushed as it has been, I think we could see that easily go under an hour.
I really think, the men have seen that women's race as well, and if it does one thing to you, it makes you believe, right? That you can do it. We've seen incredible PBs in the women's race. We've seen Anna Bramley challenge the top 3 there, and there is a huge opportunity for the men to do the same here. And we can see Jaina hiding behind the skier there with the man down on the floor.
I would love to draw some attention to John Wynn right now. The first thing we know about John is he's a bit of a lurker in the first half of the race. He never sends it early. He just waits for his moment. But what I would love to celebrate right now is his ski technique. It is flawless. He has got such high hips there, super strong. He's very calm, a nice steady pace there. He's using his body weight with gravity. This is great technique and very, very much part of his approach where he stays cool in the first half of the race. I'm very excited to watch John throughout this entire race. He is doing beautifully right now.
So what's amazing about John is if he can get to the World Championships, he's had an average finish of 6. So we know he's amazing in these big game day environments, but you just need to watch his race. He feels that if he's not in the top 5 after the burpee broad jumps, he's going to need to take a risk. And that's where perhaps we haven't seen a lot from John in the past. He's very methodical with how he races. And if he takes a risk, that's a huge step forward in his arsenal as a competitor. This is going to be such an exciting race.
Looking at Johnny Wynn and how he qualifies for the World Championship, I think somebody needs to start telling him at the first race of the season that that's his last chance to qualify. That's when he excels. That's when he performs the best, when the pressure is really on, when there is no real backup plan there. That's when he's ready. And look at the skier from Lee Tak here. Fantastic. He is defending that lead right now.
He is, and he went out super fast. We said like his opening run looked really, really fast, and it was, which we've grown to come accustomed to on the men's side. But he ran a 3:02 on that first run. Now, I do think it's shorter than a kilometre for this first run in Brisbane, but just compare that to Jess Pettrow. She ran a 3:34. So lead was over 32 seconds quicker than on the ladies' side. And if I think back to Washington, where we saw Lauren Weeks, she was actually the fastest runner on the day there. So it is quite a difference, and I think they've gone out super, super fast here.
Yeah, incredible pace right out of the gates here. James Kelly is up there with Lee Tak. Lee Tak done. James Kelly is going out. So is Metsley. And then we're looking behind. Where's Billy Schilling? He's getting ready now. Dexter Buchanan, really good, strong skier there. Johnny Wynn on the way as well. Bay Tuchek making his moves. So this is the same thing we've seen in the women's race, right? All fairly close together. There's actually a little more of a gap than we've seen in the women's race, but now is really when the race starts. We're warmed up. We've got the first run out of the way. We got the skier out of the way, but now we got the sleds. A challenge in itself, and a challenge for the runs to follow.
Exactly that, but you can see that Matt Slee there with the fastest skier time. What I'm excited to see with James Kelly and Matt Slee within 1 second of one another, these guys are going to be doubles partners going forward, and I'd love to see how they might potentially work together on the runs, whether that's drafting, whether that's placing, to elevate Matt's chance of potentially also going to Stockholm alongside his doubles partner.
And this is what I love seeing here, the doubles partners together. But James Kelly is taking charge of the race. He's taken the lead. You know, Lee Tak had his moment to shine in that first run, but here is James Kelly, and he's leading the first half of the race here in Brisbane. And that's what he said, right? His second half is there. The things he needs to work on is the run speed and the first half of his race to bring that back. And right now, he has shown a really strong run in the second half. And interesting to see, the first gel is coming out.
Exactly the same as Jess.
Same as Jess. And hold on, who's coaching Jess?
No, that's brilliant. And it's so interesting when you see a coach out on course kind of living by his own methods and his athletes also buying in. And I know those guys are super tight. They've got such a wonderful relationship. And I think that they both trust each other to this point. They've created this wonderful circle and team around them. So even if things do get tough, they feel picked back up by their people. And when things go well, then they can all celebrate together.
And this is something, you just mentioned something that I just overlooked a little bit in my predictions with Matt Slee, is that motivation it brings. Being out there now with James Kelly, having formed that partnership and everything, and being up there with him right now on that run is gonna make Matt Slee push so hard and be so good on the day here in Brisbane, I'm sure.
The other thing I think it does, racing doubles with someone like James Kelly shows you how hard you can push yourself in a race, and that, I think that gives you extra confidence in a singles race. And I've talked about with Vivian Tafuto, for example, racing with Lauren Weeks has given her real confidence going into solos races now, because she knows just how fast she can run in a race.
12 seconds behind, up to 4th by 2 spots, John Wynn on the ski erg. That is not something we often see from our man from Australia. Normally we see John, much like Jane alluded to, lurk in the backfield until the sled pull, and then he makes his move. So this has been a really early start for him, and I wonder how that will play out in the latter stages.
So I've just heard through that Luke Penny has been disqualified from the race, unfortunately, because he didn't complete the ski erg station. So presumably he left before he'd got to the full 1,000 meters, and he's been disqualified.
That is a very, very short first Elite 15 race for Luke Penny.
Yeah, that's going to be heartbreaking for him. He only found out he'd got the roll down spot relatively recently when Tom Rogers pulled out of the race. So yeah, only got the call up a couple of days ago, and yeah, you're right, very, very short race for him.
But in all fairness, there is 15 judges for 15 athletes out there. Everybody's been instructed, you got to look at the judge, you got to get the go-ahead, you cannot leave beforehand. Of course, you don't want to waste time, so these things do happen, but at the end, it is on the athlete to make sure the workout is completed, and they are in the second workout, getting ready to complete it. James Kelly leading the race right now ahead of Matt Slee. So James Kelly with the cap on Matt Slee right next to him, and then it's a trio right behind, including Dexter Buchanan and Johnny Wynn.
Yep, that midfield is going to be super tight. I think at least up to halfway through this race. But this is going to be the first separator.
And look at that sled push there in the 5th lane from Dexter Buchanan. Of course, a short breather there, but that was a very solid first half there. And now synchronized push in there with Johnny Wynn again. James Kelly. So 2 things happen at the sled push, right? First thing is your heart rate goes up, not as badly as it does at the burpees, but it goes up. But then lactate flushes into those legs, and you just got to find the sweet spot of not going too far so you don't hurt your legs too much for the run that's coming up.
And of course, if there's one man who knows what it takes, that man is James Kelly, and he is your current leader.
He is the current leader. Super high cadence there from Lee Tuck just now, but taking a breather there after that half lane. And Dexter Buchanan pulling slightly away from Jonathan Wynn under the watchful eyes of Jane down at workout number 2.
Very interesting down here on the floor to see up close Dexter Buchanan moving that sled almost like it's on wheels, but he's very strategic. He's watching when the other guys are taking breaks, and he's taking breaks at the same time, but his cadence on those steps is up there with Sinead Bent here, and he is a big man. You might not be able to see it on the screen, but in real life, Dexter is a big, big boy, and he is riling up the crowd here. And we know about Dexter. He has a huge community with his movement method, and they are here. He is a local. He's from Brisbane. He's getting the crowd excited, and he's sled push. If it's anything to go by, the rest of the race is going to be watch Dexter Buchanan.
And we're watching him. We're watching him at the lead of the race now. So he moved himself into first out of the workout here. Not just known for his movement method, but also a nutritionist. So very dialed into the sport here. And he is now turning James Kelly and Matt Slee into the chasers.
I imagine, especially with that sled push, he leans into his functional fitness background, because that's basically where he started back in 2019. And it was only in 2021 he kind of lent in that post-COVID period to endurance and running a little bit more. But it's really coming together for him today as he comes off the sleds.
That's something really interesting about him, right? Saying himself, like, the sports he's done before is basically he's perfectly trained for Hyrox, and Hyrox has just brought that sport now to him where he can use all his skills to his advantage. He hasn't changed a lot of his training to specify it for Hyrox here, because he's done the running, he's done the functional training, and he's done the strength work.
Greg Lewis, though, with the fastest sled push, and no surprise because he is an individual CrossFit sanctional athlete. And I think it was fairly recently at a event where the Hyroxers, Tim Vienisch, was asking our current CrossFit Games champion how he moves the sled so fast, and he's like, get strong. Guess what gets you strong? CrossFit.
That is very true, but then a lot of CrossFitters ask Tim Vienisch, how do you move your
so
body
fast?
so fast? Yes.
we go further than 400 meters.
Here we go, great shot out there. James Kelly, this is interesting to see. He's going for the nutrition again on that second run. There is a short zip there from the gel, and then goes back in the pocket. It looks like he's not going for a full gel. It looks like almost, you know, sports nutrition microdosing there from James Kelly on that run. And that is something I love about the sport. And Greg, you've been able to witness this now throughout the years, as since it's still a sport in development in a way, despite its global, you know, scope now, is there is so much to discover in terms of nutrition, recovery, perfect form at the workouts, and so on.
Absolutely, yeah. All those elements are playing an increasing role, and because the field is just getting so much tighter and every second counts, all those things need to come into consideration. And then training as well. Every athlete's different. Every athlete responds differently. And even just purely coming down to the running training. Do you do threshold? Do you do VO2 max work? How much zone 2 do you do? Do you do zone 2 off feet? All those things are playing an increasing role, and we're continuing to learn over the years.
This is your race leader, Dexter Buchanan, or as Jane calls him, the big boy, at the front of the race here in Brisbane.
Really important station coming up, especially for John Wynn here. Like, this is where he can separate himself against the rest of the field. He can gain 30 seconds on some of these guys at this station. So can he do it here? If he can't, if he still loses ground to Dexter, for example, or doesn't gain as much as that against Dexter, then he could be in a real battle for the rest of the race.
And this is also, that is the one deal. The other athlete I want to see now is Matt Slee. You know, how he's going into the sled. Has he trained with his partner, with James Kelly on it? What's his style here? Because he, again, tends to lose another 30 seconds on the other guys up there. So it could be up to a minute on Dexter that he's losing here in the past. Let's see how Metzli attacks the sled pull, but it is Dexter Buchanan in first. A little bit of chalk, and off he goes. So then James Kelly. Oh, and look, okay, so he's got long arms, and he's going for that long pull to the front. This is something, if you follow Jane on social media, she's just been talking about what she really tried out. Is it short grabs, pull yourself to the front on the rope? Do you drop the rope, or do you go with that long slide with one hand? The style that Alex Ronkovich is using, for example, and that's what we're seeing here from Dexter Buchanan as well. And that looks like a very good, a very strong first sled for him, but look at James Kelly moving it, and Matt Slee here as well in that first lane. That does not look like an athlete who would lose 30 seconds on the sled pull on James Kelly.
Dexter Buchanan there looking very, very comfortable. And I always wonder with athletes, if you are out on your own at the front, or you are leading and you are not used to being in that position, almost the environment you set yourself in, being the chased rather than the chaser, it can really change your approach to a race and force you kind of off cadence or into a pacing strategy that wasn't in fact your own to begin with. But what we do know is he's won men's pro racing in Hong Kong in 2025 and Melbourne in 2024. So he does have a bit of experience in this position. Is whether he can do it on the elite race.
We're about to find out. It's very interesting to see, though, just in the camera angle there a moment ago, how safe he plays it in that box to make sure he doesn't step on that front line. He is actually wasting about half a step
or something per pole there, playing it super safe, not risking a penalty in lane number 1. And Matt Slee with an incredible first half at the sled pull. He's matching the pace of James Kelly, sitting there in lane number 3.
You can see them all checking that back line because things are so tight within this top 4. One small penalty actually has the capacity to change everything. 15 seconds potentially in this race is quite a lot to overcome when you consider the top 4 are only within 25 at the moment.
So close together, really strong athletes here. As you see the sled off Dexter Buchanan going into the 4th lane here. So great, you see the timings at the bottom there, and you see the green stripes, the green markers, and that's indicating is 1, 2, or 3 lanes done. So if you look at Dexter Buchanan, you see green, 3 green stripes there. That means 3 lanes done. He is on lane number 4. So we've got 4 athletes on lane number 4 already, with Johnny Wynn, with Matt Slee, James Kelly, Dexter Buchanan, and then Greg Lewis coming into the workout in 5th. But Dexter Buchanan, here he goes, quick look over the shoulder, and off he goes back out onto that run. And now is a very, very interesting workout coming up. And Greg, you're looking at the numbers here, the burpees, that can be such a differentiator.
It certainly can be. Now, there's not huge differences between some of the top guys in this field. James Kelly has the edge. He comes in with a 2:48 average, and we've seen him really, really move on burpees in some races in the past. John Wynn's got a 2:57 average. Dexter Buchanan's just a few seconds behind that. So not a lot separating these guys at the top of this field. But you're right, on the day, it can be a big separator, and penalties could play a part too.
And did you just see that? The lurker, as Jane says, Johnny Wynn actually leaving the sled pull ahead of James Kelly and Matt Slee. So it looks like he put himself into second there. If I saw that right, we're going to see there in a second. Here we go. Johnny Wynn moving himself into second. So he came into the workout in 4th, and he is now almost 10 seconds ahead of James Kelly and Matt Slee. An incredible 3rd workout. Not a surprise. We knew he's really strong at the sled pull. But this is Johnny Wynn's, like the second half is the one where he should shine.
Oh, 100%. And actually, I thought he was taking things fairly conservatively at the sled pull compared to potentially what we've seen from him in previous races. But he has been working with a new coach over these last couple of months, Chris Bayens from the Bayens Method, and he's definitely taken a slight new approach to his training and his racing. He's dialed down quite a lot on the heat training that he's been, very invested in over the past couple of years. And he feels like he's seeing strides and consistency in his running. And I think that's all been guided towards this latter end of the season. We're beginning to see that kind of pay off.
And look at Matt Slee leaving the sled pull with a 3:30. Coming into the race with a 4:09 average at the sled pull. He has properly worked on workout number 3.
Dexter Buchanan, though, still with a 20-odd second advantage on John Wynn. And he's out there on his own. And as we spoke about it before, this man has experience of leading a pack. He's seeming very at home out there.
Great. Theoretically, looking at Dexter and Johnny here, where could John make the move?
From this moment onwards, I would say it could be on the runs, if anything. I touched on earlier, we have seen John go unbroken on wall balls, but his performances at the wall ball so far this season in the majors haven't been what we've come to know. So he has lost time to Dexter at the wall balls at this station so far this season, but he can go unbroken. But I think if John's going to do it, I think it's actually going to be more on the runs now.
Behind Dexter there is Abbas Nazari. Now, Greg, there is a brilliant story there by that man as he enters the Elite 15 today. And that is the beauty of the regionals, the stories that it gives us of the people that are involved.
Yeah, amazing story. He's a best-selling author. He's written a story about his life in a book called After the Tampa. So he was actually born in Afghanistan, and his family had to flee Afghanistan from the Taliban. cutting a long story short, they boarded a boat to try and flee to Australia with over 400 other refugees. That boat was made for 40 people, not over 400, and eventually started to sink, and they were saved by a boat called the Tampa. Cutting a long story short, again, eventually was accepted into New Zealand, where he's built his life there. He's written a story about his life, like I said, in a book called After the Tampa. Amazing athlete, amazing guy with an amazing backstory.
And he has a huge community out in New Zealand, all of whom will be screaming at the television for him right now. He believes that Hyrox, very much in the Apac region, is still in its infancy, but 2 more years and the Apac region is coming. We'll be seeing sub-54s routinely, he says.
Oh, absolutely. I fully agree. I mean, if you look at it from an athlete's point of view, from a race offer point of view, what we're seeing, especially on the Asian side in the Apac region as well, great partners like AirAsia coming in. It is a super, super interesting region right now that will develop so many interesting athletes, like Dexter Buchanan, who is leading the race here still and going into the second lane off the burpees.
Yeah, Dexter is from New Zealand, actually, but spends his time in Brisbane as he gets his first yellow card. You can see the grimace on your face still, because now you really have to be so careful with your foot placement being parallel to parallel in that jump.
And I'm totally stereotyping there, but I always feel like as a really tall athlete, it's so much harder to coordinate your feet, so he needs to be really careful now. And he's not even halfway through the burpees now, so you do not want to risk a penalty right now as Dexter Buchanan. Rather lose 5 seconds by being a little more careful right now than risk a 15-second penalty there, because he's got a really good run there. I mean, if you look at it, he actually took another 7 seconds out of Johnny Wynn on that run. He ran 4 seconds faster than James Kelly, 5 seconds faster than Matt Slee. So his running is definitely on point.
That it is. He took a 56.48 out in Bangkok. So I think we can rely on his capacity on track. Now, one thing that I have heard from athletes when they do get those penalties is sometimes they switch their style of burpee broad jumps from the step up to the 2-to-2 feet, because it allows you to have much more control over making sure that line is parallel. Whereas the step up, so much more risky to not line up.
Well, it looks like he's being very careful there. And then there is a thing of, you need to be careful within being careful. He needs to make sure that the second foot coming up, he's trying to make really sure that he doesn't overstep with it, but you also can't keep it too short. And look at James Kelly doing his burpee things again. He's gone past Johnny Winder now, or he's at least shoulder to shoulder there. But Matt Slee really with a fantastic race here as well. And James Kelly is definitely closing the gap on Dexter Buchanan now. He's probably going to pull away a little bit from Johnny Wynn and Matt Slee as well.
And that was a yellow for staggered feet for Dexter there.
I spoke to James Kelly's coach, Anthony Pericini, yesterday or the day before, and he said this is the first race that he wasn't really concerned about. He had a lot of faith that JK would get the job done here. So whilst he might be casually sitting back in third, I wouldn't lean on that for too long.
No, and let's face it. I mean, you know, his race half is coming up now, and we've seen the damage that he can do in that second half. Here is going to be his last burpee. Off he goes. Matt Slee going with him. Now, if that isn't a double pairing, then I don't know.
Well, we'll see it tomorrow.
We will see it tomorrow. And you ask him, where do you support each other? The way it looks right now at every station and every run.
So it looks like John Wynn picked up a yellow card there on the burpees for overstepping as well.
Yellow card is all good. We don't worry about those too much, especially when the workout is done. A very, very clean race so far. I believe we've not seen a single penalty other than the disqualification from Luke Penny in the women's or the men's race so far.
Greg Lewis making his way out of the burpees, actually coached by James Newbury, who has set up a real hub on the East Coast, up the Sunshine Coast. He's got a number of athletes coming out of there. Guess who else has just moved into his gym? John Wynn will be training there for the foreseeable future.
John Wynn, there you go. We've got two men in the top four here who are known for their strong finishes. So Johnny Wynn, James Kelly setting themselves up real nicely in the race here, trying to chase down Dexter Buchanan. Matt Slee right there in the mix as well. And then a little bit behind Greg Lewis with fantastic burpees, and Kane Bejan with the fastest burpees of the day. But this is your leader, Dexter Buchanan. And let's take a look at the numbers.
Yeah, so head-to-head between Dexter and John there. We can see how their races are stacking up at the bottom of the screen. Now, in particular, it's been the sleds that have been a bit of a differentiator. Dexter really gaining 20 seconds on John Wynn on that sled push there. He knew he had to do that. He knew John was strong on that sled pull in particular, and he wanted to get ahead of him there, so he pushed really, really hard there, but didn't lose a lot of time to John at all on the sled pull like we might have expected. Only 2 seconds there, and then actually gained time on that subsequent run. So really impressive from Dexter throughout so far.
And let's face it, at this stage, we're not surprised at the regionals anymore, right? We've got those athletes who are really close. They've improved over the last couple of races, and now they're taking their shot at the regionals. We've seen it in Washington, we've seen it even more at EMEA, and we're now seeing it here in the Apac region in Brisbane as well.
And I think for a long time, Dexter in particular has known that this is his best opportunity to qualify for the World Championships. It is super hard to break into that Elite 15 for the majors. John has been racing in those majors throughout this season, so he hasn't necessarily for all season long thought that this was his best opportunity. Dexter has, and he's taken it so far.
And is Dexter going to be our male Calypso today? Is he going to go and be like, hey, if I qualify, I'll do it with a win?
I mean, we've still got half the race to go, but he's making it look very comfortable right now. And especially when you take into consideration, he's got a 10-month-old son. So he's been navigating all of those early stages of parenthood. As we do see, there is a red card. We have our first penalty outside of the disqualification.
Sam Shepard picking up 50 seconds there.
So I think he picked those up on the burpees. He's got a yellow card for overstepping, and then another burpee for his hand placement. So yeah, first penalty of the day aside from the disqualification for Luke Penny.
I think some lessons have been learned from the EMEA Championships.
Just wait until the doubles tomorrow, though. There's normally a few more in the doubles.
Different story there is Dexter Buchanan is headed into the second half of the race here. He just finished his 5th run, and he is going straight for ERC number 2, workout number 5. The row is coming up. Damper setting there, slightly changed. Feet nicely strapped in, and then for the handle. And look at Matt Slee. He is not backing down. He's right up there with James Kelly and not too far behind. Here comes Johnny Wynn.
I always find that so interesting, how you both exit and then enter stations. And you can see there with Matt Slee that he's speeding up and he's overtaking a few people before he hits the rower. That, to me, is all mental game.
Oh, so important. You know, just proving the point. You're feeling strong. You're feeling good. That is one of the things in Hyrox I think that still needs the most development is the mental game. Not your own, but scaring the competition pre and during the race.
And it's something we've seen quite a few times from James Kelly as well. Like if he's training with James a lot, I think that's something he's picked up from him.
That is such a good point. It's literally James Kelly's calling card.
I kind of want to know what happens if you take all those Elite 15 athletes and then just bunch him up with Hunter McIntyre in his place in Malibu for a month. Let's see the monsters he can create. We're down at the row, and we know it's everybody's fan favorite, but even more for Jane, who's down there in the mix.
Now, I'm super conscious that I am so close to the action right now, and I don't want to put these athletes off with any criticism. So there is not criticism here. I would just love to point out some differences in the rowing technique. So what we can see with Dexter Buchanan is he is sat on the seat at the top of his hamstring. What this enables him to do is actually rest his quads while he's rowing. What we're seeing from both Matt and James is the position on the seat where their tailbone is slightly tucked underneath and their knees are raising up vertical. What this is going to do is put more fatigue through their quads and through their hip flexors. And so lunges and wobbles are going to be just a little bit more tiring. So really good work by Dexter.
So much to learn. This is the first I heard about the tailbone on this seat. There you go.
You have not been following Jane's online presence enough, Till.
I shall do better in the future. Dexter Buchanan making Jane really happy down there, and all his fans as well, leading the race here in Brisbane, ahead of Matt Slee, who's now putting a little bit of a gap on the road between him and James Kelly.
Exactly that, and you can see John Wynn now down in that 4th position. Most of these gentlemen will be pulling at fairly standardized rates at this point because they will have their eyes on that second part of the rate. And what I did think interesting about what Jane was saying is each of these athletes are going to have different strengths and weaknesses, and if you know that you are a quad dominant athlete and you need to, or you don't need to save that muscle group for the wall balls or for the lunges, then you can afford to use them a bit more on the road. If quad dominance is not a strength of yours, perhaps you might want to save them. And I was thinking when she was talking about hip flexors, I would be thinking about saving my hip flexors for the quick action of the running, rather than putting extra stress on them during the row. So it really depends the style of athlete you are and where your strengths and weaknesses
I really love
lie.
all the things you think about on the road. My only thought is survival when I sit on that row. 960 meters for Dexter Buchanan, who's going to be first out of the row here as well. He is still leading the race, and he's doing so in style. Done with the last pull. He's got the go-ahead from the judges, and off he goes. And second is going to be Matt Slee, and that gap does not look like it's still 30 seconds. So they made their moves at the burpees, and there he goes, Matt Slee, and he has got to be incredibly motivated right now. He's leading his new double partner, James Kelly, the one and only James Kelly right now, and he is chasing down Dexter Buchanan 5 workouts in.
Matt Slee actually gained 9 seconds there on Dexter Buchanan, which is real gap on the row. He came in 18 seconds behind, and he's left just 9 seconds behind him.
And let's not forget, it was close to 40 seconds, was 38 seconds going into the burpees. So he's really making moves right now. So everybody's still in contention, right? So James Kelly, he's qualified. But Dexter Buchanan, Matt Slee, Johnny Wynn, they're all fighting for that qualification spot with 3 workouts to go. Does either of them have a strength or a weakness at the farmer's carry, or are we already focusing on lunges and wall balls here?
I don't think we're looking at any Sean Nobles, for example, on the farmer's carry who can make up some real time. They're fairly standard, around 1.5 minutes, maybe just over that I'd expect from all of these guys. The lunges can be a differentiator. Like we've seen James Kelly perform very quickly on the lunges. He went sub 3 minutes in Phoenix, but in terms of those battling for the qualification, I'd probably give it to John Wynn. Based on what I've seen him do in previous races, he does seem to have the edge. He's got a 3:10 average on that station, whereas someone like Dexter Buchanan's coming in with a 3:23 average. Now, obviously, it's average, depends how you feel on the day and everything like that. But yeah, if John Wynn can make up some time on the lunges.
Matt Slee with a great row there, a 3:47. Honestly, I am just so impressed by these regional level athletes that are bringing down times and our expectation of them coming in, and they're leading the field right now. And I think that's something that the regionals has given us. It's given us access to watch more athletes and for athletes to target races and step up. And I think that's exciting for the sport because it's only bringing times down. And I can tell you that the majority of the Elite 15 field watching the regionals, they're worried.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I love about the regionals is it's given us an example of, like, it doesn't matter what your sporting background is, you have a shot at the Elite 15. And to race at that top level here, we've seen former swimmers now. We're now, if you look at Greg Lewis, who's sitting there comfortably in 5th in that little fight with Kane Bajan. He's a former cricket player, played soccer as well, has an athletics background. We've seen runners come into it. We've seen bodybuilders coming into the sport in great fashion, like Gabrielle Nicora Baker. It really doesn't matter if you love sport and if you're a fit person, you have a real shot at being great at Hyrox if you do it right. And somebody doing it right now is Dexter Buchanan. But imagine being Matt Slee right now. A moment ago, you were 38 seconds down. Now on the long straights, you got Dexter Buchanan in sight. You took back 30 seconds within 2 workouts. This is going to be an incredible finish because behind the 2 debutants in 1 and 2 right now, there is the experience of James Kelly and Johnny Wynn.
There really is, and they both know what this means to them. James Kelly obviously targeting this race as an opportunity to get a run out ahead of Worlds and to try a few new things, but I'm pretty sure he will have the expectation that he's coming away from this on top of the podium. I think you couldn't help but think that after his performance in Phoenix. And then John Wynn making sure that this was the race where he was going to take his ticket to the World Championships. He obviously has Warsaw next week as a backup, but how nice not to have to worry in the final major of the season.
Oh, absolutely. Like very, very different scenarios. I think for Johnny Wynn, it's really about ticket or nothing. For Matt Slee and Dexter Buchanan, being up there on 2 or 3 would still be a huge success in the race, right? But Johnny Wynn, maybe that is exactly the issue as we're starting the Farmers Carry here. Maybe his subconscious knows this isn't his last chance. There is still Warsaw. Coming into workout number 6, there is 10 seconds between Dexter Buchanan and Matt Slee, which shows us it's coming down to the workouts. There is nothing between the 2 of them on the run right now. So if Matt Slee wants to make his move, it's got to be at the workout station. Then James Kelly in, and here comes Johnny Wynn.
The familiarity of these top 2 athletes, they're both on the start line together all year round at various APAC destinations, racing in New Zealand, in Australia. That has got to help when you come to this championships. When you take John Wynn, who spends, or up until recently, has spent most of his time in Europe, James Kelly, who spends most of his time on the major circuit, actually that familiarity of Buchanan racing Slee has got to help them both out on course.
Yeah, not a lot between those top 3 guys on that last run there, but John Wynn did lose 9 seconds against Dexter on that run, so he's obviously not feeling particularly great at the moment. 9 seconds is a lot for him to lose on the run. He's going to have to put in some real effort on these subsequent stations.
I mean, definitely not to take away anything or make excuses, but he moved back to Australia 2 weeks ago. He's launched a coaching business this week. He's got his 2 young kids. He's moved house.
Oh, and did you just see in the background there, while Dexter Buchanan is done, Matt Slee pushing so hard that he dropped the kettlebell there. He lost it accidentally instead of like carefully putting it down. This might cost him a couple of seconds. In all fairness, coming from an elite cycling and triathlon background, grip training has not been his main focus in the past in the sports. And here we go, James Kelly putting them down. He's on the run as well. And then Johnny Wynn, don't be confused by Greg Lewis going past there. He is 1 lap behind, so it's 2 laps on that Farmers Carry. Johnny Wynn is about to finish here. He is pushing it to the limit there. You can always see it when the elbows start coming up, you know the hands are really hurting now.
Oh, you do. It's all in the body language, and that body language did not look comfortable.
Now, plus he lost a few more seconds there on the run already. So, Johnny Wynn, he's got to dig deep, but he can dig deep. You briefly touched it before, Lauren. When he risks something, he knows how to do that.
He certainly does. On the subject of good body language, you can see there Lewis, beautifully stacked shoulders to hips to heels. He's not allowing much of a hinge at the waist because that's what's putting pressure on your lower back, and that's why you start lifting those kettlebells up, but they're looking super comfortable out there on course.
Dexter Buchanan leading the race. And the man behind him, that is Abbas Nazari. We've spoken about him here before, so that is not Matt Slee. Matt Slee, a handful of seconds behind, about 14 seconds, so he lost another 4 seconds at the Farmers Carry, most likely by accidentally losing grip on the kettlebell.
I am so impressed by Dexter Buchanan. He's not even kind of worried about the fact that he's currently in front. He's got a very comfortable, natural pace. He's got the final 2 stations to come, and he's creating an even bigger gap.
2 more stations to come, the sandbag lunges and the wall balls coming up. And James Kelly is hunting Matt Slee now. And out of the 3, Matt Slee looks like he's fighting the most on this run right now. But look at Greg Lewis there at the Farmers Carry. I mean, you described his body posture there, really perfectly aligned, allowing him to go 129 in in the elite, that's pro weights, that 32 kilos on each side.
Yeah, sub 130, not too shabby. Buchanan there lapping other athletes, probably using it again as a little bit of a mental tick, regardless if they're not on the same line as you. Just being able to overlap the people in front, it gives you a game to play, takes your mind off the pain of running in these latter stages.
I'm really impressed with Dexter Buchanan here. It is like Jane said, he's a taller athlete. He's bringing more weight to those runs here, and he is running so smooth right now. His core is still really, really stable. There is no sign of real fatigue on that run. Really impressive.
The 34-year-old, of course, a brand new dad. All that dad strength coming to play.
Well, he's got to be careful. We heard it from the boys at the EMEA Championships. At the beginning, the kids don't care, you know, if you perform well in the race or not, as long as you come home. But once they're used to Daddy winning, this is what they expect. Be careful there, Dexter Buchanan. Here he goes into the sandbag lunges. The sandbag is on another one of those technical workouts. So he's got to be careful to keep it clean. And here we go. Good start for Dexter Buchanan. Into workout number 7. James Kelly has caught up to Matt Slee. He's passed him here, but the doubles partners still really close together. Beautiful technique there from James Kelly. That double flip off the sandbag to bring it up over his shoulders, and in he goes. 24 seconds down. So Matt Slee lost 11 seconds on this run on Dexter Buchanan, and his body language really showed.
Honestly, you could just see then with James Kelly, the pace he suddenly picked up when he entered the lunges. This is clearly the turning point in his mind and his race strategy. So JK, he's not looking back now, he's gone.
I mean, like James Kelly going like all supercharged at the sandbag lunges. I feel like I've seen this before.
Oh, I wonder where.
I wonder, oh, everywhere. James Kelly is making his move here. Not only is he dropping Matt Slee now, but he's getting closer to Dexter Buchanan the way it looks here right now. But Matt Slee, look at that. He is keeping that gap on Johnny Wynn consistent.
If you are Dexter Buchanan and you can feel James Kelly slowly creeping up on you, do you change your mindset from racing for the win to racing for the qualification? Or do you throw everything at it and try and go for the top spot?
In Dexter's case right now, the way he looks right now, so strong, you don't change anything. You go full gas. He's the strongest of the runners right now, if you look at the split times there. He looks super comfortable. And, well, the way it looks right now, you got James Kelly with you in a second. Why not go for some fun? He's a sneaky one, that James Kelly, isn't he? Coming from behind there again.
He does. And if I think back to like the majors where he looked so good last season, we see him go out super fast early on. But I think he made a mistake at the Chicago World Championships where he went out too hard and he really suffered at the sled pull. So maybe he's learned from that a little bit. Maybe he's been a little bit more cautious in the early stages of the race, but he's built his strength at the latter stages, and that can only give you confidence going into every race.
I remember our conversations off the back of that World Championships. He denied his own race plan. James Kelly was not meant to go out hot at the World Championships. The occasion, definitely the adrenaline took over. And you can see that now. He's way more mature while he races.
Oh, and we've seen the first little stumbles there from Dexter Buchanan. Definitely a sign that he is getting tired here. He's losing stability a little bit. He still looks really, really strong there. But James Kelly looking so composed right now. Dexter Buchanan, here we go. A last long lunge. He's got the clear, the go-ahead from the judge. And Matt Slee doing whatever he can to hold off Johnny Wynn coming from behind. So this is the first time we've seen real fatigue in Dexter Buchanan. And it seems to be the legs, which are so important in a second there for the wall balls as well.
I think I'd argue to say Matt Slee is in exactly the same position there as well. The grimace on the face tells 1,000 words.
Dexter Buchanan, he put himself in a fantastic position there. If he has it in him right now to pull off another really strong run, he can chase James Kelly right now, who's first out onto the run. Then all he needs to do at the wall balls is hold off Matt Slee and Johnny Wynn coming from behind. And I'll be honest here right now, Greg, you got the numbers, but to me it looks like Matt Slee has a really good shot right now with that 30-second lead over Johnny Wynn going into the wall balls to hang on to third.
Yes, for third, I think he's got his work cut out if he's going to close down Dexter for the qualification spot. Dexter has done a 3:25 and a 3:24 on his recent wall balls, whereas Matt Slee hasn't been able to go sub 4 minutes. So if there is a station for there's a weakness for Matt, then it is at the wall ball. So I think he's got his work cut out if he's going to close the gap on Dexter, but keeping that gap against John Wynn, I think it could get very, very close.
And with Dexter, I really want to see how much energy did he leave out there, you know, how much is left in the tank for the wall balls, because he led that race for so long. So I have no doubt that he pushed really hard throughout the last couple of stations there.
James Kelly apparently with a ton left in the tank. Look at him go. He's opened up his stride. He's gone for the big finish run. And this is exactly the kind of execution that he needs before thinking about Stockholm. Just a really perfectly to plan, well-rounded race.
2:34 on the lunges as well, I think is one of the quicker times we've ever seen at this level in Hyrox. So that's super, super impressive from him.
Dexter Buchanan appearing in the long shot behind James Kelly here. All he has to worry about is probably the man behind. I'm going back to what you just asked, Lauren. I think in this scenario right now, you don't care about James Kelly. You don't care about first. You want to make sure that Matt Slee, who's now showing up in the back of the screen, stays behind you.
Another tight finish at the wall balls.
I was just holding my breath. It's like we've seen so much drama at the wall balls right now. It's really coming down to how much is left in the tank there. Matt Slee really trying to be within himself there. He is fighting. He's leaving everything out there. He's giving it a shot here. Because let's be honest. If you're Matt Slee right now, you risk it all. You don't go for third. You don't care too much about it. You're so close to challenging Dexter Buchanan for a qualification spot to the World Championship.
You only need to speak to Jane earlier in the week for her to tell you that you do not sleep on Dexter Buchanan. She's been following his journey over the course of the Apac last 2 seasons and said that he is currently peaking and he's looking super strong. She was not wrong.
Oh, not wrong at all. James Kelly, look at that smile. He's responsive. He's having a good time here. He's putting the smile on for the camera. This is a very, very confident James Kelly here in Brisbane.
I'm honestly pumped for him because off the back of Melbourne, in the singles race, not in the doubles, he had a great doubles race in Melbourne, but in the singles, I think it's probably, and I don't think he'll mind me saying, one of the lowest points he's ever felt off the back of a race in his entire career so far. It's so hard to be on home turf and not perform to the capacity that you know you're capable of. And I feel like he's gone out there today, I'm not going to say with a chip on his shoulders, I don't think that is what we're watching, but he's gone out and he's just proved to himself exactly what he's capable of in front of a home crowd and dealing with that extra pressure. And Brisbane is a home crowd. He lives an hour up the coast on the Sunshine Coast. This is very much a home race for him with all of his family there. I know his sister will be on the sidelines, his mum, his dad, Georgie, and he is just going to be relishing every single second of knowing it's all come down to this, and he's in the lead.
He is in the lead, and here's the man who's going to try to challenge Dexter Buchanan for a spot to the World Championship, because James Kelly, he's qualified already, and looking at the timer, James Kelly picked the wall ball up just under the 52-minute mark, which means this is not a wickedly fast course. Dexter Buchanan definitely challenged James Kelly there, and that is where I just tip my hat to the amazing women's performances we've seen in the first race of the day. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. James Kelly, 30 reps in, and then Dexter Buchanan, he's got 2 no reps. You want to keep it clean, you want to keep it fast. Matt Slee is only 7 reps behind Dexter Buchanan. That is the duel for qualification. 2 no reps on each side. Who is going to punch the ticket to the World Championship? I think it's just a little too late here for Johnny Wynn. He's just a little bit too far behind. I don't see him pass both Dexter Buchanan and Matt Slee, even with a fantastic round of wall balls. But James Kelly, he is halfway through the wall balls and still 7 to 8 reps between Dexter Buchanan and Matt Slee. This is going to be a dramatic finish for qualification to the World Championship.
Certainly is still. I was a bit nervous there about Slee's cycle speed. It was very, very quick for the first 25 reps. He's eased into a bit more of a pattern now, but he's definitely given himself the best launch pad to catch Buchanan on this second 50.
Oh, and look closely. We've just seen Dexter Buchanan lose balance there for a second. Usually also a sign of some fatigue, but then there's been another 2 very costly no reps there for Matt Slee. Now put Dexter Buchanan 10 ahead, and he is still looking strong. Halfway through, and Matt Slee is dropping the ball for the first time. He's resting for the first time. This is the opportunity for Dexter Buchanan. He's got the time now to rest for just a brief moment, not too long, but he is ahead of Matt Slee and James Kelly going into the final 20. And let's be honest here, let's be fair, there's no need for James Kelly to go super hard into the final 20 now. He's literally already thinking about recovery.
I mean, he's an operator. He knows exactly what to do on these wall balls, knowing that he's got a buffer to Buchanan, and he doesn't need to go after a time here. This is about getting through cleanly, not completely blowing up the lower body, because he's got a doubles race to win tomorrow.
Oh, and look at Johnny Wynn. He was 16 behind Matt Slee coming in, and despite 8 no reps, he is now only about 7 reps, 6 reps behind Dexter Buchanan. He is fighting, definitely. Everybody is struggling there right now. They're checking each other out. You can't take too many reps, but here we go with your winner of the regionals here, the Apac Championship, James Kelly taking victory. After second place in Phoenix, it is victory here in Brisbane.
Take a bow, James Kelly. That was beautifully executed.
Oh, and look at Dexter Buchanan. I mean, he is pushing at the limit here right now. He's only doing a handful of reps, and there's still 20 to go. You can see, like, the way he's catching the ball now. He is struggling. He's got 15 reps left. But Matt Slee struggling as well. Johnny Wynn is coming from behind. Now imagine Johnny Wynn without 12 no reps. He would be so close to Dexter Buchanan. We all remember the drama we've seen from different athletes in the Elite 15 races. 10 left. 10 left now for Dexter Buchanan. He's got to keep an eye on the competition, but he should have this one in the back here because Johnny Wynn is resting, Matt Slee is resting. 10 more to go. Oh, he's going 3 reps at a time right now.
He is, but he also knows how fast Slee is. He knows he's got a little bit of a buffer.
Johnny Wynn's gone past Matt Slee now. 96, 95 for Dexter. They're 96. Come on, he's got to push through here now. 3 more. 2 more. And, oh, he's got to go again. He's literally taken a breather before the last one. He's watched too much Tim Vanish videos here, but here he goes. Dexter Buchanan coming in second at the Apac Regional Championship and punching the ticket to the World Championship in Stockholm. What a race from Dexter Buchanan. And Matt Slee, he's passed by Johnny Wynn. Here goes Johnny Wynn, the final rep with 15 no reps on the day. He is across the line in third. Johnny Wynn postponing qualification to the World Championship, and all eyes on Warsaw now for the man from Australia. And Greg Lewis, he is passing Matt Slee as well. Matt Slee absolutely at the limit, 21 no reps. He's still got 2 to go. A fantastic race there from Greg Lewis. And here we go, Matt Slee. with a dramatic finish at the wall balls, bringing it home in 5th. There might be a brief moment of disappointment because he was so close to challenging Dexter Buchanan for a slot to the World Championship, all the way to the wall balls, but it's only going to be a brief moment of disappointment before it's all ice on the doubles for him and James Kelly tomorrow.
Yeah, you could see it written all over his face. The poor guy is low-key devastated, I think, by those wall balls. But how much positivity can you bring being in touch with Dexter Buchanan and James Kelly for such big periods of that race? And it's only wall balls that you need to work on. I'd say there's a huge amount that can come from that.
And something that gets me really excited is that to keep it more interesting, I changed my Johnny Wynn and my Dexter Buchanan because Greg was 2 points in the polls ahead of me, but now I got them all 3 right.
Is that allowed? Are we allowed to change it?
Absolutely allowed, yes. I'm going to talk to the... Here we go, fantastic racing for the man coming from behind. Next up is going to be Bay Tuchek. He's going to come in 7th here. Again, a little reminder, we've had 13 debutants in this race here. And of course, just across the line here, Kane Bajent, the former Taekwondo champion. Here comes Bay Tuchek. A great race by Kane. He always stayed really, really close to Bay in the race here throughout, always just a little bit behind, and then made his move at the wall balls.
And he's only getting faster. It took him 4 races to achieve the sub 60. And that's going to be coming down. I think we can keep an eye on Bajent for the coming season.
Luke Brotherton, we did talk about him in the pre-show, across the line now. Probably not racing to his full potential on the day in Brisbane.
Yeah, that man, one of the highest placed APAC competitors at the World Championships in June last year, finished 7th in the men's pro.
And here we go just across the line. Corey Dietrich. And of course, we want to hear from the top athletes down at the finish line with Jane.
JK, the absolute man of the moment. I think that you have made me age 10 years with when you decided to show up tonight in those lunges. Can you please tell me, after your race in Melbourne, how important was tonight for you?
You know what, Jane? Hyrox is an interesting sport because once Melbourne was over, it was done for me as well, right? Tonight wasn't about redemption or anything. I got my world spot in Phoenix, which I was proud of. But tonight was another example of how Hyrox is an interesting sport. You know, there was 15 men that lined up tonight, but our history didn't matter. Dexter Buchanan, give him credit. He was in it to win it the whole race tonight. You know, I was probably the favourite, right? But I didn't win right up until the end. So kudos to the boys who ended up fighting all the way through tonight, yeah.
So awesome to watch such a seasoned athlete, and you stuck to your game plan. We love seeing you on those lunges. Was that the plan going all into the race?
Look, no, it wasn't. I had a plan to go out pretty aggressive, and I did that. But as I said, kudos to people like Dexter, Matty Slee, my mate, you know, John Wynn, who put it to me early. And as I said, like, I'm 5 minutes from the race now. Like, Hyrox is interesting because 15 men tonight, it didn't matter what our times were beforehand. We were fighting to the death, and I came across the line first, and obviously I'm happy with that. But I'm just amazed at the fight from the other boys tonight.
And you're a local. You live a little over an hour from here. Do you have family, friends here supporting you tonight?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I grew up in Brisbane, so about 40 minutes away from here. My mum, my dad, my sister, Georgie, of course, are here. So it was a big race for me tonight. And I just thank my team so much for tonight, yeah.
You should be so proud of yourself. You were an absolute powerhouse.
Thank you, Jane.
Jane with all the sweaty hugs from James Kelly. I've been in that position myself. But honestly, what an amazing performance from a man that we know has it in him, but now he's backed it up. From Phoenix to Brisbane, he showed that this is now a repetitive performance cycle. How important is that with Stockholm on the horizon?
It's going to be so motivating for him. You know, he sees he's progressing throughout the season, and he's such a seasoned athlete that winning a major, winning a regional is great. But your peak race is the World Championship, and he's definitely on the right trajectory.
I mean, he mentioned there plenty of times the field around him and how they pushed him. When we watched that race unfold, Greg, especially with Lee Tuck going hot out the gate, and apparently James Kelly wanting to do that, how much do you think he was having to adjust through that process to account for what the other men did in terms of pushing him?
Yeah, he was. Like you said, the field is super strong. Those guys gave him a race. He said he went out hot. Maybe it didn't look like he went out as hot as we've come to know, just because Lee Tuck went out so fast. But yeah, James, he did go out reasonably fast. He came through the sleds reasonably strong, and then he really turned the screw towards the later half of the race, put in a really good burpee time, and then those lunges and wall balls again, really, really impressive.
Man, those lunges are something else. When you've got something like that in your back pocket, when you're training, do you double down on that to make it better? Or do you assume you've got that in the locker and you work on your other weaknesses? What a good thing to have.
There's always the two theories, right? Do you work on your strengths and improve them and just try to be okay at your weaknesses, or the other way around? But it looks like he's getting better and better at the sandbag lunges. It's literally like the sandbag lunges are now afraid of James Kelly. It's crazy. Yeah.
But honestly, that entire performance for him has set him up for the World Championships. We assume that he's not coming with us to Warsaw. Therefore, with that being the last opportunity, how important is it to get a good training block before the Worlds?
Yeah, I think it is, and he's got a good amount of time now to focus and really dial up his training to peak for that race in June. But he'll be encouraged by his last two races, second in Phoenix, first tonight. He'll be really, really encouraged.
Encouraged indeed. Who else will be encouraged? Dexter Buchanan, and he is going to be down on the floor with Jane.
I'm not going to lie, I am a huge Dexter Buchanan fan. Job done, Dexter. Ticket punched to Stockholm. Can you describe how you're feeling right now?
Oh my God, I cannot put this into words, Jane. This is just the most incredible feeling ever. Right, to push beyond Zone 6 today. That was a true max effort. I knew it was going to be a really tough race. I've had this in the calendar for a long time now, and I knew obviously JK, Metsley and John were going to be really tough out there, and I had to give it an absolute 100%, but the support from the home fans, love you Mum and Dad and all the New Zealand fans back home, and my beautiful wife and their family and all my friends in Brisbane. It's just the most special feeling ever, Jane.
And we know that you're a local and you have a massive community. Something else that's super important for people to know is you are not a full-time athlete. You actually work very hard. How did that affect your lead up to this? It didn't look like it affected it, but did it?
Oh, 100%. You know, we've got an 11-month-old boy. I work full-time, online business, and I guess can't train the hours that a professional athlete can, but just try and do my best with the time that I've got. And I've got an incredibly supportive family behind me. I couldn't do it without them, and I'm just so happy, Jane. Like, it's just being in the Elite 15 now is just a dream come true.
You deserve all of this, Dexter. One more question. What does the road to Stockholm look like now for you?
Well, so we've got 10 weeks. We better get to work. There's some incredible athletes out there. And I'm just going to give it my best on the world stage. Let's go.
You should be so proud of yourself. Go celebrate with Sammy. You are awesome, Dexter.
I enjoyed that exchange so much. But listen, Till, a brand new face on the Elite 15 start line in Dexter Buchanan. We can get a bit excited, can't we? New faces are just coming in all the time.
Oh, I can't tell you how happy I am. Like, exactly as you said, seeing that interview, they're seeing so many new faces, and now Dexter Buchanan, and literally like seeing those athletes who really put it on the line. He left everything out there. I literally think it's the only thing left in his body is the endorphins keeping him up right now. Everything else is out there on the run track and the stations.
Exactly that. He is our qualifier out of the Brisbane Apac Regional. Let's see how the race, though, shook out. Jonathan Wynn rounding out the podium. He didn't quite get the cue, but he should be very happy with that performance. Greg Lewis with a late charge off the back of the warbles, and Matt Slee rounding out the top 5. We've got a lot to be excited about from the APAC region looking ahead to next season, because times are coming down and competition is hotting up. Greg, we are not done. We are heading to Warsaw coming up next, but we do say goodbye to Brisbane for now. Warsaw, when do you fly? In 2 days' time?
It's a few days' time, but yeah, super exciting lineups again to follow up from this race. Really, really exciting to go there.
Of course, though, it is going to be the doubles tomorrow. We welcome back to the floor a number of the athletes we saw tonight in a brand new format as we round out our APAC regionals. And the doubles, that's something to get excited about.
But how would you not? After seeing those individual races, it's new faces again that we're going to see there, and there is no doubt they will seize the opportunity and keep us very entertained tomorrow.
Won't they just? As we also look ahead to the rest of the season and the World Championships in June, we say goodbye for now to the APAC Region Elite 15 singles. With brand new faces on the start line in Stockholm. We cannot wait. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. It's been very nice doing it on a good time zone. We'll say goodbye to you guys from both Brisbane and from the UK, and we will be seeing you tomorrow.